Hey everyone. Finally, welcome back to another show. It's been a while. It's been far too long actually. We already have Professor Flynn in the side chat. So, hey Flynn, how's it? Things going? And then we've got oh, this guy. This guy is back as well. My dear friend Artemis. Artemis, how's it going in your life? See, this is how it has to be. I mean, we have to have a balance. I still have my nice injured finger that is causing me an awful lot of pain. So uh, we'll see where we get from here. So yeah, so today we're gonna have Martin back. It's going to be his topic of choice. So there's nothing we can say about what we're going to be talking about. So without any further ado, um, we're gonna throw it over to Martin. And Martin, how are things with you? And so, what are we gonna be talking about?
Yeah, okay. They're okay, thank you. Yeah, I don't really have much going on at the moment. But yeah, what we're going to be talking about, hopefully a wide variety of things. I'm hoping. Maybe it could be an extension of what was talked about in the other video, and maybe like elaborating, because I feel as though there was like a miscommunication, and also because I'm obviously not an expert in any of these subjects. It's very difficult to kind of comment and give your take on, you know, yeah, these sorts of um, you know, subjects. I suppose I'm just not a yeah. But I've got a few like creative ideas. Again, I am a Christian, and I feel as though I think people can come to they can come to the conclusion that God exists. I think that is something that is kind of attainable if people just thought about things rationally. If kind of like they took themselves away from like the present and kind of looked at things from like an observer's point of view. That's what I like to do anyway. But yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
So, like, what kind of questions would you have for me, for instance?
Yeah.
Well, first of all,
Well, I don't know.
let me interject really quick. Professor Flynn asked me to unmute Artie because obviously this is my own show, so I'm entirely unprofessional, and I have had Artie muted for the intro, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because it's Artie. But I have unmuted Artie, so everyone can now hear Artie as well. Okay,
Oh,
so Artie, go ahead, ask your question.
I don't remember anything I was going to say. Let's see how.
I have a question though, because you said remove ourselves from the present. What can you tell me
Well, yeah,
what you mean by that?
yeah. Okay. So I actually discovered, I think yesterday, just by looking online, that I think I've got unsymbolic thinking, which is really interesting. I am on the spectrum as well, which means that I don't really think in words. It's almost as if like I receive, I'm just like a receiver for like this information. That's what I meant by kind of like an observer's point of view. It's kind of like zooming out of like society or something and seeing how like things operate. That's what I like to do. And again, I am on the side of God existing, so I feel like not a lot of people are, and I can kind of like it's kind of like an not literally like an out of body experience, but like abstractly, it's kind of that kind of concept. Yeah,
I mean, I
Okay.
see math that way. I understand it in the sense that I see math the same way that you see
yeah,
language. It's
great.
kind of
Yeah,
an
yeah.
amorphous thing that just kind of happens.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, before the show, I was kind of given the example of like in politics, it's kind of like a tricky subject, right? I mean, it's very emotionally yeah, it's an emotionally sensitive subject for people, isn't it? And so that's kind of like an instance where I kind of like zoom out and I kind of see everything from above, sort of thing, and I can see how things operate and what dictates this and what dictates that. Yeah, right. we were given the example of that, and I think I think politics, and we can just talk briefly about politics. I feel as though it's extended to like every corner of society, where it kind of dictates your outcome in life. It's infested like or infiltrated the educational sphere, the medical field as well. There are probably other areas, for instance, job prospects, etc. I've noticed that your political belief tends to really take a hold of these areas, if you'd like. Yeah, that's just an example of where I kind of just not literally but zoom out and abstractly just connect the dots sort of thing, just to understand like the grand scheme of things in the world sort of thing. But,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of people,
Mhm.
that kind of separation comes as you age and you literally depart from popular,
Well,
all the things that everybody was
Mm.
doing when you were that age. Like everybody loved blah, or everybody saw blah.
Mhm.
And as we age, we stop doing all of those things the same way everybody around us has. And
no. That's
we
yeah.
kind of intrinsically start to build upon the notion
Mhm. Yeah.
of just by virtue of aging, we come to more and more understandings of, well, I used to think that everybody that was in this job was smarter than me, and now that I'm the same age as those people, I realize that they really are fucking idiots. For instance, I spent my career as a landscaper, and I learned that I did go to college. I graduated from college. The only other people in the companies that I worked for that had gone to college were the designers and the engineers.
Mhm.
And it was the crews that I worked on loved having me around because I was willing to call out other people's bullshit when they said something that was just stupid, and everybody on the crew
Okay.
knew that what they had said was stupid, but nobody else was
Right.
willing to say anything to them because they had the education and they had so it's just as far as I'm concerned. Again, everybody has their own point of view, but I think that what you're describing is kind of a thing that happens with age, not necessarily. And for me, anyway, it's not necessary for me to take a step back or to imagine taking a step back. My life has taken a step back. I am no longer interested in the shit that was cool. I don't dress cool anymore. I I wear my hair like a freak. So it's I understand. I think I understand exactly what you're saying, but I think there's more than one way to go about achieving that, and age is kind of one of them.
Achieving no, it's not necessarily achieving anything. It's not
Well,
that. I'm giving my
achieving an
perspective.
awareness.
Yeah, I'm just giving my perspective on things, and again, it's just like abstractly kind of removing yourself and just understanding how everything like operates. I feel as though with what you were saying before, where you said, in like, so for instance, colleges, etc., which I think are like liberal minded, right? They're not conservative minded,
I
like
went to Indiana
fundamentally.
University, and you cannot say that my university was not conservative.
Oh, was it? Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Well, maybe,
I
yeah,
mean,
maybe that's like an
it's a
outlier.
liberal arts college, but that means very little about the university itself.
Martin, can I
Well,
ask
liberal. I mean,
what
the
you
hints in the name, liberal arts, but yeah.
Martin, can I ask what you mean when you say college is more liberal minded and not conservative minded? So what
Well, they're more progressive. So, no, of course, but yeah, absolutely. So they're more progressive. So by definition, it's the hints in the name, isn't it? Liberal. So there's a they kind of adopt an approach where they kind of they're progressives, right? Okay, essentially. I mean, that's what it means to be a liberal, right? Progressive. And so anyone who doesn't adopt that mentality is automatically demonized. I've just noticed this. I think this is kind of taking a grip on society, and I think people just don't understand how impactful it is, really, if you
I
want the
was a
truth.
yuppie little Reaganite when I was in college, dude.
I don't know what that means. Sorry.
Okay,
I
you're
don't
not
know
old
what
enough
that
to know
means.
what a Reaganite is.
I don't think
I was a big fan.
Artie, I don't think he might even be old enough to know what a yuppie is because we're old.
Okay,
I don't know what that is either.
Martin's
yuppie is
not
a
that
young
old.
urban professional. Yuppie is a young urban
I'm
professional.
27.
And Reaganite is somebody who was a big fan. Maybe okay, it's hard to say that people were a big fan of Ronald Reagan when you think of how people are
Right.
big fans of Trump now. That shit,
Yeah.
what's going on now is absolutely insane. But
Yep.
used to be that we would have leaders that would work with people on other sides of the aisle, and there were actual statesmen. And I was a little naive. Well, I was really naive, and I thought that Ronald Reagan was a good guy. He was staunchly conservative, and by God, so was I. And this is while I was still a Christian and everything. And I will admit that
Actually, that's interesting. Sorry.
once I
No.
started losing the faith, I also began losing my conservatism. I stopped seeing.
There you go.
I stopped seeing the value
Hmm.
that other people were ascribing to the ideas that they held, when what they really did more often than not was the antithesis of what their religion called them to do.
Right.
More often than not.
No, right. So then we have to ask the question: what is it that the religion called them to do that they kind of did everything opposite to that? That would be very interesting.
Well, I think a lot of people root their conservatism in their religion. They're obviously
exactly.
But there are conservative atheists. It's not like that's not no group is a monolith, and atheists certainly have its share of the political spectrum. Although I would tend to agree that most people that describe themselves as atheists tend toward liberalism. But
correct. Yeah.
I don't think either political ideal is necessarily bad. I just think one of them is more likely to be damaging to more people than the other.
No. Okay. No. Of course, that makes sense as well. No. Absolutely, I can see that. But what's interesting, I think this is what people tend to overlook, is that no matter where you are in the world, right? It all comes down to like the self-preservation, that kind of mentality. I think every culture throughout history has adopted kind of like a conservative approach, right? It's like you're trying to combat or kind of repel the invading force, so to say, right? I think that's exactly how conservatives anywhere feel, right? When they hear about liberalism, that's just something that I've noticed. And I think, like I said, I think a lot of people have just overlooked that. They can't seem to like see the forest through the trees.
Well,
they focus on one aspect, but they can't focus on like the entirety of it.
It's worth mentioning that you have been alive during some of the worst political tensions.
Yeah.
Within within countries. The divide between liberals and conservatives in the United States has been growing for most of my life. But
right, okay.
The levels of extremism that came about in the last 6 years, that shit just didn't exist before. We for the first time have our own citizens being the biggest threat via terrorism in this country. That has never happened in modern history in this country. So
no,
for that to have been achieved took a little bit of work, and all of it worked.
Right.
And,
okay.
And it might even
I don't.
It might even be the case on a global scale, because after Trump, things shifted at least in my country and in several other countries that I've been watching, where more radical people thought that they now had some validation and they could come out with their views and be accepted, whereas that wasn't the case before.
I actually think this whole radical thing, I think this is deliberate, really. I think, again, it's to, I mean, okay, so put it this way, would you look at a conservative as kind of having some sort of radical mentality if you are a liberal? Well,
if I'm just looking if I'm just looking at what happened last Wednesday in my country, so our version of Trump, his party got elected as the biggest one. This is a guy who wants to close mosques. He wants to ban the Quran by law, and he wants to. There are several people from that came to the Netherlands in the 70s, 80s. A lot of people from Morocco and Turkey. Their children or grandchildren, he wants to send those back to Morocco or Turkey because their groups among those are now some of the most uneducated, and those are causing problems by yeah developing more criminal activities. Um, the fact that we have that, to me, is scary, because where would it stop if we first get rid of the Muslims and going to ban their holy books? Are we going to ban any other holy books? I mean, probably not the Bible, because this guy's from the southern part of my country, which is still the more religious part of my country. So he's probably not going to ban the Bible. And so for me, if you're going to ban one holy book, then you need to ban all of them. And so that's where I think extremism comes in, because they're now looking again for a scapegoat. Because why is the economy bad? Because we have these people around. That's not how that works.
It's the Jews.
Yeah, we've had that
Right.
in
Okay.
in the previous century, and that didn't end well. I don't want things to go that way again.
Is there a Dutch version of the movie Jojo Rabbit?
No, sadly there isn't.
That sucks.
People should watch it though, because that was a really good movie, and I still have to thank you for pointing that out to me. So I finally watched it after it.
It's a life-changing fucking view of
Yeah.
virtually everything in that movie. Makes you change your mind about something, or gives you a new idea about something
Mm-hmm.
that you thought you had a solid grasp of, but you didn't really appreciate. God, that movie's good. And,
Yeah.
and if you're a screaming liberal, it's fucking amazing. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But if you empathize with Hitler at all, do not watch the film.
No.
Yeah.
It's not a good movie if you're a neo-Nazi. You won't like it. But it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that
Right.
I'm also I don't talk politics a lot, at least not on, or we don't talk a lot of politics on this channel. It's also because the show is more about
Yep.
religion than it is about politics. But yeah,
That's
it's
true, but for some reason you can't have one without the other. I've noticed that it tends to, like, those two seem to be
which
like,
is the bigger
they
problem.
seem to work in union with one another, which is weird.
Yeah, which is the
But,
bigger problem,
yeah.
because they should be separated. There should be no, even though we have religious political parties, we still have a
Yeah.
very, very religious political party. Sorry. So,
Yeah.
but I think it should be separated. Religion has nothing to do with how you are running your country, and it shouldn't be involved
Especially
at all.
democracy.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm just thinking. I think I know, at least regarding Christianity, why. Yeah, I think I know why religion kind of gets tied into, like, so those two work in, in union with one another, right? I think I might know the reason why. It's because it talks about, like, the rapture in the Bible, doesn't it? Um, and I think that kind of I think that pertains to, like, a conservative mindset, right? Where you have to, like, you're kind of like, again, I mean, I've got my own view on the rapture and everything. That's possible, but yeah, I think that's where it stems from, in terms of, like, in kind of like the Christian religion, right? I think, like, people, how can I say this? So no matter what you go through or something like that, there'll be, like, a rapture, let's just say, right? No matter what kind of ordeals that you kind of experience in your life or something, whether that's, again, being influenced by um, differing beliefs or something, there's something to kind of believe in, the sort of thing, right? Do you I just want to know if you know what I'm talking about there. Can you? Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
obviously I don't have a religion, but when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
something like what you're describing, I kind
Mhm.
of feel that way about humanism. Like
Right. Okay.
I'm fairly committed to the idea that people are important and we should be trying to keep as many of us alive as possible and as many of
Yeah.
us happy as possible
Yeah.
because one leads to the other. Um,
Mhm.
but as often as not, I just religion has always failed to effectively govern in the
Right.
sense that in the sense that it's antithetical to democracy for there to
Mhm.
be religious undertones to the way a government operates.
Right. Okay.
You can't be serving the public if you're serving this part of the public first, and
Yeah.
it was the same problem the
Mhm.
United States realized we had with racism and slavery, that it took us way too long to figure that shit out, but and there's still people that haven't. I
Yeah.
mean,
No.
like Peter was just saying, he's got a leader that wants to ban a specific religious text and a specific religious people. Like that's ever going to be a good idea. It never has been. It's never going to be. It's only ever going to turn out badly. And
No.
yet people keep voting for it. Like it's like there is a chance that this time it's going to be okay, but they won't take a chance with communism because that's never worked. But racism, that always works.
Yeah, it's trying to find a scapegoat and blaming everything that's bad on a particular part of the population, and I don't think that that's a good thing. Even though I am an anti-theist, I do think that religion is harmful,
Mhm.
and I haven't
Okay.
found a religion yet that I don't think is harmful. But I don't. I want to get rid of it, but not by legislation. If that makes any sense.
Education, not
Yeah,
necessarily.
education is I think the better way to go.
Mhm. Right. Okay. No, that's true, but again, it kind of begs the question as to why religion would be kind of offsetted with kind of like or sorry, through some sort of sorry, sorry, some sort of like some mentality that where education kind of is used for that. Does that make sense there? Right? I
Well,
don't
the
know.
idea,
Like that's very confusing to me.
I think the
Honestly,
point of
I don't know
education
why
is
that
to
would be the
learn
only way
shit
to
you
go
otherwise
about it.
wouldn't learn, isn't it? I mean,
No, no, no,
I went to
no.
college to be taught about things that I wasn't going to come across every day.
Well, I mean, we'll put it this way, right? When I was in school, for some reason, for one reason or another, I had to learn about like Guy Fawkes Night, and I was actually talking to my mother actually the other day about this. And why would you associate a bonfire with Guy Fawkes, right? So put it this way: do you remember when I told you that I've got like symbolic thought? I know it's just weird, isn't it? Right? I
Well, I
mean,
mean,
for some
it is.
reason.
I understand. I don't understand why it's a thing, but I can see why. I mean, I can. He did try to blow up a bunch of
No, no,
people.
well, obviously, no. God forbid, yeah, no, obviously. But why would you associate a bonfire with that? They've taken a symbolic
Right.
representation, haven't they? They've taken a
Well,
symbolic representation and they've associated a bonfire for some bizarre reason
it's like a
with
totem.
Guy Fawkes. I don't understand. Like again, I've got my own opinions about the educational system, but yeah, don't want to voice them all.
Well,
But,
it's the eternal light in my church was a candle. The eternal light was
right,
a candle. You know what's eternal about candles? Not a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
right, okay, yeah. I
So
mean, yeah. So that
the
kind of
same education problems happen in churches that apparently happen in schools.
Artie, but you can have
right.
symbolism because
Okay.
we
So
we have, for instance, the Olympic fire, which is a fire that is kind of eternal, and it's just the
That one actually
flame,
never goes out, though.
the flame just goes from one torch to another, and then so
I have
you
watched
you
eternal flame go out at my church.
that's just
I'm just saying.
that's just
I realize
because,
it's symbolic. I
and
do.
that's
I
and that's
fully
why you
accept
need to
that, but
and that's why you need to tithe, Artie, because if it's drafty in your church and it blows out the eternal flame, then see, that's what you
right,
get. You need to pay
yeah,
more.
God needs
That's
to fill the cracks.
that's one of the things that I hate most about religion, because God gets all the glory and people get all the money. So it's yeah, that's
These
no,
churches are so drafty.
yeah. It's cold in several of them. I mean, I've been in churches. So a friend of
My
mine
church was always my
host
church didn't have air conditioning, so it was always hot.
a friend of mine hosted musical events in churches, and in winter it's pretty cold. I mean, they yeah. There's some guy coming here sitting on a stage with a guitar. We're not going to heat up the entire church for that, so you had to wear warm clothes in order to enjoy the music. The acoustics are great, but other than that, yeah,
The,
no.
the, sanct- the sanctuary of my church got hit by a tornado, which I thought was more than a little ironic. It ripped the bell off and it flew out into the parking lot and crushed one of the parishioners' cars. But so now they have relocated the bell into the parking lot, which I think I'm a big fan of that. Like, this is where the thing landed, and they put a gable over it and everything. But the fact that church got hit by a tornado and the bell crushed one of the cars.
What is weird is that is never seen as a sign from God, but if there would have been one Bible open on a specific page, that would be a sign.
Yeah.
No matter how many people
Speaking
get
of that,
killed.
Actually, yeah.
did you see the woman? A woman had her car burn up, and one of the only things that survived in the interior of her car was a Stanley brand coffee mug. And so Stanley is buying her a new car. You know what God never does when it burns down somebody's house, but the Bible survives? He doesn't build them another house.
Yeah, it doesn't buy you a new house. But maybe that's because he only gets the glory, not the money, Artie. I mean,
right. God's gifts come in strange packages, and none of them ever fall from heaven.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, interesting. I don't really know what to say there.
No, we're not trying to set you up for an answer here. That's just
I know. I'm just
that's just a lull in the conversation.
No, absolutely no. I know it's kind of like a disconnect. I'm just a bit stumped. But yeah, no. I feel what was I talking about? Right. Okay. So I was actually thinking the other day as well, which is quite interesting. I feel as though because okay, so do you believe that we live in some sort of system with different dynamics, right? And I think these dynamics are dictated by, so for instance, your political belief, right? I feel as though that is something that I think people need to kind of consider, right? And I feel as though, like I said, these different dynamics seem to be, well, I've got an idea. I've got an idea that these dynamics have been introduced by one of the empires, actually. I was actually talking to my dad about that the other week, actually. I feel as though, so put it this way, right? Why is it that the central bank, right, seems to be situated within the same location where the king and the queen are, or a president in your country? Does that make sense there? And there's a parliament, and I don't know. So like you've got the Senate there as well. I think there's a reason for that. It seems to be situated in a capital, right? And
New York.
Sorry?
I think our federal bank is actually in New York.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Well, again,
I'm checking.
Right. Well,
I know the Treasury Department is in D.C., but I think the federal bank is actually in New York. Oh, this doesn't.
Right. Okay. Okay. So the Treasury is in D.C. Again, I'm not American, so I've got no idea. Pretty sure the central bank here is in London.
It is in Washington D.C. I was
wrong. Yes. Yeah. There you go.
Our markets are in New York and Chicago, but the Fed is in Washington D.C.
Yeah. The markets don't have any sort of bearing on that. I think there's a reason why it's all centralized within the capital. I think it's just funny.
Wait a minute, hang on. The markets are the whole reason that UK isn't part of the European Union anymore.
The markets, it's sort of, sort of. But I don't really pay attention to that.
It's the banking markets. It was all about making the rich richer by being able to keep their money where it cost them the least to keep it.
And well, no, really, actually,
the way to achieve that was by leaving the European Union.
Well, what's interesting is, I mean, the south of England was obviously dominated by the Romans, right? The Romans set up their stronghold at the southern part of England, so London, basically. I think that's, I mean, I'm taking a guess, and so I feel as though that's kind of like, they've kind of left their stamp on the southern part of England, London specifically, and I feel as though it's just ironic that, you know, the king and the queen would be situated within a location where the Roman Empire set up their stronghold, right? I think that's very deliberate, if you ask me.
It might be something different, Martin.
Oh, sorry, Peter. Could I continue?
Yeah.
Could I continue? Please?
Yeah, finish.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. I was actually getting somewhere. I was just. This is how my brain works. It just
You're fine.
leads. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks. Yeah. What was I saying? Yes. So why is it that the king and the queen, as well as the central bank, among different prominent like institutions, you could say, parliament as well, why do they seem to be situated within a location where the Roman Empire, at least when it comes to Britain, right, or England, even different areas, but why is it that these seem to have some sort of one-to-one correlation with one another? Basically, I think I know why.
Well, it's like isn't the Church of England headed in DC or in London rather?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. It is.
Well,
so that they follow the same.
Well, it's the south, but I don't know exactly like the county or anything.
It's in the Church. The Church of England has its seat. The Church of England has its seat in Kent, actually in Canterbury, not in London.
Right. Yeah. Correct. Yeah, it is Canterbury. Correct.
Yeah.
No,
so,
I just realized
but here's the thing. The reason for everything being centralized in the south is probably because London was a major city located at the Thames with access to the North Sea, which was good for trading several hundred years ago. And we had the same thing here in the Netherlands because pretty much everything is located around Amsterdam, Rotterdam, and then you get the government that's spinned off and is in The Hague. So, but most of the things are still located in the golden age, so in the age of trade, where the most money came in, which was big cities located near big harbors, where you had
correct. It's ports.
So
ports, correct, 100%.
Yeah, and so it's probably has nothing to do with the Romans, although the Romans would have traded as well and would have used those ports.
Well, how else would they have got here?
Yeah, to invade other countries. So
it's about the geography, not the Romans.
Yeah, it's
no, obviously, yes, no, obviously.
Yeah,
but how else would they have got here?
It's like the Angles didn't set up shop in London. The
right. Okay.
I'm fucking off. They who's the French king? The French king of England was
the French king of England.
Louis.
Oh gosh,
is that right? No, Louis was France.
I don't really pay attention to these things. If you want
to,
I focus on
memory for it, but
I know.
it's just my the thing is that I think what you're trying to allude to is the influence of the Romans, which I don't know how that actually applies to much, because when they left, they were Christian, and it's not like they left all the money behind.
Right. Okay.
So it was a conventional seat of power out of convenience because it was a large population center. I don't think there's anything much more to it than that.
Well,
Mhm.
I think
And Washington
Peter,
D.C. is a very small city in the United States,
no, of course, but
intentionally.
yeah, yeah. Well, why is it that it seems as though, because obviously the British Empire went to America, didn't they? And
Among much else.
yeah. Obviously they went other places, but
The sun
because
never
you
sets.
mentioned America, I then pointed out how the British Empire influenced America, right? I feel as though they did kind of set up their shop, so to say, right? Their
As
position,
as
like
did the Dutch.
of authority,
Yeah, the
Yeah.
right?
Dutch and the French and the Spanish all did the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm, well, okay. Well, what regarding America? Did they?
Yes,
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't have that much of an impact, like
they
some sort of
did actually.
prominent.
Well,
Oh, okay,
if
right.
if you look
Where
at
I
if,
live was settled by the French.
yeah, and if you look at New York, a lot
No,
of
no,
the parts in
Was
New
settled
York,
by the Dutch.
Harlem is from the Dutch. Harlem. There's
The whole,
there's a lot of
the whole of New
influence.
York is Dutch.
Yeah. So.
The Dutch built a harbor in New York.
Mm-hmm.
The
Because
French built a harbor in one of the
yeah.
Carolinas.
So I think what's happened here is you've just completely, maybe you've missed the point of what I was trying to get at there. The reason why I specifically mentioned, either Washington D.C. or London is because these places seem to be of, like, again, high importance to the empires, right? So, like I told you, the Roman Empire kind of set up their stronghold at the southern part of England, which is London, obviously.
The English
Um,
didn't have anything to do with Washington D.C. Literally nothing.
I'm willing to bet that they did. I mean,
No, it was
I'm
still a
willing to
swamp.
bet.
It was still a swamp when we were under English rule. It wasn't even a city.
Right. So okay. So how would it how right? Okay. So what about the transformation? Like,
It's
how
a
would it
it's a
have?
planned city. Indianapolis is a planned city.
Well, no,
Canberra
no, no,
is a planned city.
no, no, no. Right. Okay. No, obviously, yeah. Okay. It might have been planned, but initially there might have been some sort of blueprint for kind of like, aspirations. You could say they had aspirations to, for some reason, choose Washington D.C. as being the capital city of the United States. I
because they
think,
because they could sandwich it between three states.
would it be that? What is?
Yeah, that's why they did it. It's
Okay.
no, Washington D.C. isn't in a state. So and they did that on purpose because they didn't want the national capital to be under a state's rule, which kind of makes sense. But what it's turned into is that our fucking federal government runs a city and they run it into the ground and then blame the mayor for it. So yay.
Right.
But
Okay.
no,
No, I'm just thinking about
and I'm only talking about two countries that I know off the top of my head. That Canberra had nothing. It was never settled until it became the national capital. Washington D.C.
Right.
was barely settled before it became the national. If you look at the original paintings of like the White House and the U.S. Capitol, there is
Yeah.
nothing else in those pictures. Nothing. It's grass
Okay.
and trees and a river.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. No, of course. I feel. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So the reason why I was focusing on that, specifically Washington D.C., is why else would the president be situated there? Why else would the federal bank? Why else would the Senate be there? Do you know what I mean? Because
Because we
it's all
literally put it all
centralized.
there. Yeah, we literally put it all there on
Yeah.
purpose.
Exactly. But where did that idea come from? I'm going to argue that it's because of the
Central
influence from the.
governance.
No, I don't think so. I think it's the British Empire. I'm willing to bet on that. And at least regarding
Okay,
here,
I think the Mayans
London.
had a capital city. I think the Aztecs had a capital city. I think you're wrong, but
Well, okay, okay. So did they have? But I'm pretty sure there was no idea of like a president or something, a senate,
it had an
the
emperor
central
like,
bank.
like the UK had a king.
Well, yes, yeah. That's my point. Yeah,
It's the same.
and
It
for
is
some
the
reason,
same thing.
yeah,
That's literally. It's kind of. I wish you hadn't said that. Most
right.
large successful societies had capital
Mhm.
cities from which they governed the masses.
No, of course, no. But when you think about it, there was no idea. Like the word, I guess the impression capital, right? There was no sort of, there was no such thing, because you mentioned the
I
Aztecs,
think
right? There was no
I think
such
the word,
thing,
I literally think the word capital came from the United States because it's spelled differently just because.
right? Okay, sure. Okay, yeah, sure. I don't know. I don't know how that's
I don't
important.
either. I just think
But
that I'm fairly. I know it's spelled differently just because, and that's just kind of an
right,
American
okay,
thing to do. So
yeah, sure. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah. But no, because you specifically mentioned the Aztecs. That's why I focused on
yeah,
the Aztecs. And so there was
gotta
no
catch
sort
them
of
on.
concept of a capital, right? Like I said,
The Aztecs
there was
started
no.
with a capital.
Sorry.
The Aztec Empire started with the building of a capital. Tenochtitlan.
Right.
They built an island nation. Became
Okay.
the city became the capital of became the empire. It literally started in the capital.
Well, I'm honestly not sure about that. I don't. The concept would be somewhat different to, like, say, the Roman Empire's influence, or some, or the British Empire's influence. So I don't really see how that would be a thing. Like, but okay,
I'm sorry. It's
okay,
just this half of this half of the planet
right,
also had capital cities. It's weird.
right, okay. No, no, no. Of course, there might have been an idea. Well, then again, no. I would
Man,
like
we
to
had our own.
argue that
They had their own religions over here and everything, man. Same thing in Asia.
mm,
Fucking, they paid no attention to the English or Romans, or it's like they didn't even exist.
okay, sure. Hmm. Yeah. No, I disagree with you on that. I
That's
firmly
fine.
disagree.
I
But yeah,
disagree with you.
let's.
I hope you're not as offended. I'm certainly not.
No, of course. Why would it be? No, but yeah, no. I'm pretty sure there's a specific reason as to, again, why. I don't know how many times I've repeated myself. Maybe it's because we keep on, like, sidetracking, and then you bring up something else, and then I have to, like, address
That's how
that
my
when I
brain
don't
works.
know anything about that. I
That's
mean, I know.
I apologize, but that's how my brain works.
Right. Okay. Right. Yeah. Maybe. But yeah. Um. Hmm. So, do you guys want to, like, talk about anything else? Do you want to keep the conversation going or something?
I'm
I
happy.
think I've spoken quite a bit. Like,
Well, this is your opportunity to do that, man.
thank you.
I mean, you're here to say what you want to say and ask us questions. That's the whole
Yeah.
point of this episode is so that you have an opportunity to take
No,
advantage.
of course, but it would be nice if we bounced ideas off of one another. I mean, that was kind of the point of my messages to Peter. I did mention that, but for some reason it just seems to
I'm
be one
sorry.
way.
If we're bouncing ideas off each other and we disagree about something, isn't that two different ideas?
No, that's true, but
Haven't we exchanged ideas and just concluded that we disagree?
no, that's true. But how can we
Okay.
determine who's right and who's wrong? I mean, that's really what.
I'm not certain there is such a thing.
Okay, yeah,
Aside
maybe.
from
One of
actually
us could be
going back
right,
and
one of us
if you
could
I
be
mean
wrong, maybe.
if we can if you want to learn Aztec history while we sit here,
I really don't care.
yeah,
I really don't care.
I
To tell the truth,
I don't think it means that much to the gist of the conversation.
Yeah,
Which again,
right.
I think I think it might be that you're stuck with the Roman influence because that's kind of the only government mentioned in the Bible, other than the Egyptians, which I find interesting that the Egyptian form of government
Well,
wasn't more influential, considering that was the one form that was depicted fairly with fair amount of detail in the Bible.
right. Okay. Sure. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe.
I mean, they
Well,
weren't talking about. They
Jesus.
spent a lot of time talking about the Greeks.
Oh gosh, yeah, yeah. The Greeks certainly had an influence. My goodness. Yeah. I think obviously America, they've adopted, at least their politics is kind of synonymous with, like, the Greek politics, right? I'm pretty sure the word came from
Well,
Greek
the Senate.
politics.
Yeah, I think politics and Senate are both Greek.
Yeah, and academia. Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
English is so
They're,
fucked.
right. Okay.
Did you ever take a language like in my at my high school we had what was called a word power through Latin class, but we actually studied Latin and Greek bases for words. So the entirety of the class was learning about prefixes and suffixes and root words and where those root words came from and what those meant. And
Oh
it was
no, I
a fascinating thing to
okay.
learn.
Well, what's interesting is because that's how my mind works, right? It connects like so. For instance, there's like the I'm pretty sure the linguistics of certain places, right? You know how language of certain cultures, like so. For instance, I'm just trying to think of okay, so look at Ukraine and Russia, right? They differ slightly, and I think that would be identical to those differences would be identical to say maybe Spanish and Catalonian.
Or
That's the same.
Portuguese,
Yeah,
or
and so
Portuguese to French, or
correct. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
it's
the
the
reason.
English. The Germans fucked up English. That's basically what did it. It was the goddamn Germans.
Right. Okay.
Fucking Angles came in, started using shit from Greece and from Latin.
Yeah. No, no. But what's interesting there is you can kind of depending on their phrases or how they say certain words, you can map that back to a time in which maybe uh, that so yeah, okay, so maybe it's like the evolution of language, or for example, I think
Right.
I've spoken for quite a bit. My mind's a bit tired.
You're
If you want the
fine.
truth.
This. I enjoy this very much. If you don't, I
Yeah.
apologize, and I'm not trying to give you any anxiety about it. You're doing fine, man.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I just it's hard just talking for ages and thinking about things and
That's why it's much easier for me to sit here and listen to you talk than it is for me to try to do what you're doing.
I know exactly. Yeah.
I didn't say it was fair.
Lazy.
I do have a weird
I'll
question
do
for
all the
you,
work.
Martin. I do have a weird question for you because you
Yeah.
were mentioning all the parts that were important and then relating all of that back to the Romans. Something that
Yeah.
came up at least in my corner of the universe a couple of times in the I think past week is
Mhm.
Glastonbury. When I say that,
Okay.
what does that mean to you?
Right. The festival over here in the UK.
See, and this is
Glastonbury.
kind of
It's a
weird
music
because
festival.
you're a Christian, right?
Yes.
Shouldn't Glastonbury have a completely different meaning to you? Or are you blissfully unaware of
I
what
don't see the connection.
it's
I
the
don't see the
place
connection,
it's the
Peter.
place in the
Why would
UK
that be?
it's the place in the UK where Jesus visited allegedly.
Oh yeah, that
Is it?
cathedral. Glastonbury, the cathedral.
No. He went
Okay.
to some kind of
No,
hill.
they have an artifact. They have an artifact at the cathedral.
Oh, that
Right.
they might have, but so
Okay. Yeah, I'm confused.
it is alleged that Jesus traveled with his uncle Joseph of Arimathea, traveled to Great Britain and visited Glastonbury. So
Oh,
it's
interesting. I never
and
knew that.
it's really weird that a lot of Christians aren't even aware of that, let alone that it has had any impact
Well,
in
a lot of
Britain.
Christians don't know that Jesus was in Missouri either, Peter.
The
Right. Okay.
that
So
now
okay. So
we're in
what would you
Mormon
recommend?
territory, Artie, and you can't take any. I'm doing a show where we read the Book of Mormon. When you just start reading the book, you lose all confidence in humanity. I mean, it is.
You really do.
I
You don't have
can't.
to get very far into that.
I can't write.
Fuck does anything.
Yeah, I can't write, but I'm pretty sure I could have made a better book than the Book of Mormon because it's
horrible.
abysmal. It really is.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's American, so
Yeah. No.
Not
Marty,
really.
Marty, have you ever read any of it? Marty?
Me?
Yeah, have you ever read any of the
Yeah.
book?
Have I? Yeah. No. I was just going to say I've never read the Book of Mormon.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. Cool.
I recommend
Never read
just go to a library and read, I don't know, the first 4 pages that you pick out.
subscribe to Arn Ra
because
and
it is so disjointed and wrong.
No. Subscribe to Arn Ra's channel and just start watching. Every Sunday we do the Book of Mormon. We have several comedians joining us for the Book of Mormon to get us through it, because otherwise there would be no way to getting through all of that without having some kind of comedy. But
if you're into
Yeah.
John Krakauer, he wrote a book called Under the Banner of Heaven.
I,
That's an excellent read.
I did not know that Native Americans wrote tapirs, and that led us to the fact
They
that
also had steel swords.
yeah,
Steel swords.
yeah. So you're going far too fast because we do have Jimmy Snow on that particular podcast, and Jimmy then started Googling tapirs and found out that tapirs have an extremely long penis, which is prehensile. They can scratch their backs with their own. So
Longest mammal.
those are
penis?
images you wouldn't even have if it wasn't for the Book of Mormon. I mean,
Actually, could I? Yeah, no, that's interesting. Could I ask? Sorry, could I ask an interesting question there?
sure, it's your show.
Because you mentioned Google.
That's why we're here.
Thank
It's
you.
it's your
Great,
show.
Thanks. Well, it's really yours, Peter. But yeah, I'm the guest. Thank you for
I feel
having
the
me
same
on.
way, man. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to, I guess, the concept of Google, what would you say is the intention for Google? And would you say that it's, I guess, maybe directed towards the general public? I would say yes. And I think I know, yeah, I thought so.
It's derived from a service.
Yeah.
You used to be able to make a phone call and ask a question, and that person would research the answer and call you back.
Right. Okay.
And
Okay.
but most of what they had access to was uploaded library contributions. So they had the same. Oh God, have you ever? Okay, before computers, we used to go to a library, and we would have a research topic in mind, and we would go to a one index that had the people that wrote about that topic, and then you would go to another. You ever seen the card catalog racks? Those huge cupboards with boxes that are about yay big around, just hundreds of them.
Whereabouts
They used to be in every library, but now they're in bars and a bunch of other places because they're just kind of cool pieces of furniture. But those were drawers that were like this deep.
Okay.
Have you ever seen the movie Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Okay. He's walking down in the library. He's walking down a hallway, and drawers open up, and cards come spitting out of them.
I can't remember that scene, no, but I've obviously seen
it's towards the beginning anyway. That's a card catalog, and you would go to that, and you would find the author, and then you would look through what books were assigned to that author, and find the book that had to do with the thing that you were looking for, and then you know what the Dewey Decimal System number was for that book, and then you would go to the rack, and you would find that book, and then you would search until you found the page that you needed to get the answer for the question. That all was necessary for every question that you had, that there wasn't somebody readily available to answer for you. Everybody had to do it that way. There was no option.
No, of course. I like to, I think I know what you're saying. I like to take the creative approach to things, and I like to, again, analyze things thoroughly and look for like connections. Is that what you're referring to?
You would probably love an old library then. If there are still libraries that operate under the card system, you would love that shit. It's so tactile and.
But so now I'm curious, Martin. So what do you think that Google is about?
Yeah.
What's
I think Google is reserved for the general public because, for instance, maybe you could say like academics would kind of. I don't know, like maybe I'm trying to think. I do think it's reserved for the general public, like the broader public, and I think maybe, so for instance, there could be certain like.
You're suggesting depending on who you are, you get a different answer.
Yeah.
You didn't know there's.
Actually thinking maybe
you didn't know there's a specific Google for academics. Scholar.google.com.
No.
So if you want to
Oh,
do
no,
some
yes,
research,
scholar.
you
Sorry,
don't go
I don't
to
even know. 'Cause
Google itself.
I'm not an academic. So
Yeah, but if you want to do some research, you don't go to Google
I'm not.
itself. You go to scholar.google.com, which weeds out pseudoscientific stuff and gets you the correct answers to your questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the articles that would qualify for a research paper in college rather than general knowledge.
Mhm.
I think what you're
so. Yeah,
I think what you're doing is
Right.
is equating Google with encyclopedias, which did the exact same thing.
Right. Okay. No.
In
No.
college, you were
Maybe
never
it could
allowed
be.
to cite an encyclopedia as a
Yeah.
source because they're trash. And I think what you're saying is that Google is that same level of trash, and I agree.
That's not really what I'm saying. So I think okay. So I'll kind of elaborate on that. I'm trying to think about how best to like approach approach it in a specific way, which
Take
kind
your
of like addresses you and Peter there. I think yeah no I'm just thinking. I think the fact that Google has so it doesn't give you every information about everything. So maybe like say if you're like a certain species or something of animal, right? Yeah, so maybe like oh I don't know maybe a lion, a polar bear, whatever, right? A koala bear. I feel as though it doesn't really like the information that it provides is not enough compared to maybe the information it would provide for maybe academics. Does that make sense there?
Yeah, no,
Mhm.
we're
So it would be
literally
yeah. So
saying the same thing at that point.
Yeah.
exactly, it's readily available, but
Right.
for
It's
some
it's
reason it doesn't give.
encyclopedic value.
This is a
Yeah,
great
maybe yeah.
segue for
Maybe.
me to do a little promo because a friend of mine, on Ra, is working on something where uh, everyone on the planet can do their research. If you want to know what a line is and where a line came from, it's called the Phylogeny Project. They're
Okay.
trying to revamp it a little because a lot of the people because it's um, all it all depends on donations and it's getting bigger and bigger every single day because new discoveries come in and they have to be fitted into the entire tree of life. So yeah, if people want to donate, please contact Ra and help him get this off the ground. And if people want to help, if you have skills to make a website with a database this big, please come forward. But so that would be something just
Yep.
specifically to if you want to learn about certain species to find everything
Yep.
because there's nothing like that on the planet so far. So
I think he was kind of giving that as an example of a thing rather than
it was
a
just
specific.
my
No, but you
brutal
hadn't said anything
attempt.
for half a fucking hour, and then we get a 20-minute infomercial.
But
Right.
it's I mean
Okay.
I have to. He's my boss,
I'm
Artie.
sorry, I'm
Artie, he's my boss.
I'm sorry, Thumbs. I'm
I
just fucking with you.
I have to get some brownie
Yeah,
points
I think.
every once in a while.
Peter
Right.
Thumbs.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. No. I think. Yeah. So going back to what I said about Google and how it's almost as if its intended purpose is kind of for the public, right? I feel that as though that would be like synonymous with maybe you could say like the private and public sector within society. It seems as though like certain advantages you could say are kind of reserved for a a specific group of individuals and the rest, which is the broader public, right? That's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
how they view it.
Here's the thing I
Sorry.
definitely don't want you to think is that
Yeah.
there is any knowledge that the wealthy have that you don't.
No, 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 no,
There
no,
is
no,
there
no.
is no
Let,
there
let,
is
no.
no no I just
That's got
I
nothing to do
don't
with
want
it.
anybody watching to
Got nothing to do with it.
believe that there is a way for
Yeah.
the really rich to access science that nobody else can or what certainly there are numbers that they're aware of that the rest of us aren't, but that's not quite the same thing. But I know a lot of people with a lot of money, and I know a lot of people with a lot of money who are largely stupid. And when I say
Okay.
stupid, I mean dumb. I don't mean That they got great educations, but they're dumb as a bag of hair. So
there you go. Yeah.
don't ever allow yourself to believe that
One of
because
those.
somebody has money, they have accomplished a goddamn thing.
Right. Okay. No. Okay. So maybe you're wanting me to elaborate on what I said. Okay. So I'm trying to think of another example, if you'd like. Um, hmm. Okay. So my intention by kind of alluding to the public and private sector is it's almost as if like, you have these like advantages or privileges. Oh,
The dogs are taking over the show at this point. Martin, I'm sorry, no one's listening to you anymore. They're all watching the dogs.
Oh gosh, okay.
Maybe
I'm not. Maybe I'm not.
We're not looking at the dogs. We're listening to you.
Oh, lovely.
We might be the only ones, but we are.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Well, no, it's just something I've noticed again because I've got like some sort of attention to detail oriented mind, right? I kind of I focus on certain aspects or something, and I question like why this is the way it is. Again, you can kind of get a hint of that with the topic of conservatives and
I think
liberal.
we think a lot alike, actually.
Sorry?
I think you and I have different opinions, but I think the way we accumulate information for ourselves is kind of the same function. I think we do it the same way,
right?
Very similarly.
Yeah, great. Yeah, probably it could be, but it's just I love asking questions about our reality, and trying to like navigate our reality and try. It's as if like you have been put in a position that is kind of out of your control. So, for instance, you might be in, say, like a government, funded school, a public school, in other words, and someone else could be in a private school, and they lead completely different. Sorry, their direction is completely it's kind of opposite to yours, right? And so they are granted these bonuses and privileges, and the rest is kind of reserved for what I'm trying to think. So like you're kind of, or the general public, quote unquote, to say, right, so to say, is kind of left with like Google, whereas these private institutions have like the privilege of like these separate academic organizations, which kind of have all the information readily available at hand. Does that make sense there? And I feel as though it just kind of puts into perspective like the differences between like the general public, like the wider public, and like, I don't know, privatized citizens or something.
Hey,
Anyway.
Martin, just
yeah,
for the sake of, I just want you to know,
okay.
My brother and sister-in-law are haves. I am a have not. So I am intimately familiar with the differences.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I'm confused. All right. Maybe.
And they're not as dramatic as you think. Those kinds of things do exist,
okay.
but you still have the same amount of access to free information that they do. They're not paying for us. Well, there actually are services you can pay for that will do the work for you, but you can pay for that service. You don't have to be my brother or his wife to be able to afford that.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe. Perhaps. Maybe.
No, it's absolutely. Kind of like I just don't want you to. I don't want you to go on thinking that there are a bunch of things going on, but this one isn't one of them, I'm afraid.
Okay. Right. Okay.
You can. You by all means, if you think information exists that you're unable to find, ask Peter, ask me. I'll ask people that I know to help you find that information.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not going to cost any of us anything else, and none of us are going to be special.
Okay. No. Okay. So what I was saying there is, again, I'm just trying to think. Okay, so I'm not an expert, quote unquote, an expert on any of these subjects, right? And so you keep on asking me about like certain animal behavior, and you keep on saying provide examples. I'm not aware of any sort of examples. I can't pick out, because I like to look at things in kind of like a definite way, right? That's the approach I like to take. Does that make sense there? Right. And so when you're asking to provide an example of maybe a certain animal, an animal's behavior, maybe, I don't know, maybe like a lion, I don't know about the lion enough to kind of give you the information about, that is kind of, that pertains to that subject. Does that make sense there? I just want to.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Right.
yes, absolutely.
And
What
so
I,
I
what
was
I
kind of
what I
lost.
what I want you to
Yeah.
understand is that the information that you think you don't have is
Right.
available, and you have
Okay.
as much access to it as anybody.
But okay, so why it doesn't seem like it, because when you brought up, you asked for examples like in the first show of certain animal behavior again. I don't know the animal behavior, like I haven't studied these things. So how would I go about studying these things, right? If I'm not.
The first thing I would do is Google the animal behavior you have a question about and see
No,
what
no,
what kind of answers
exactly. You
I
see,
would go.
Google, that
That's what I
proves my
would
point.
start
Yeah.
with Google.
Yeah. No,
Okay,
of course.
that's Google is like Wikipedia. It's a great place to start looking for shit.
Or any other search engine. If
Yeah.
you don't want to use Google, there are several search engines that pretty much do the same thing.
Yeah, but actually, it's funny because you mentioned Wikipedia. I'm pretty sure the information in Wikipedia isn't always 100% accurate, right? So that proves my point.
I'm absolutely certain.
It isn't, but
says as much.
It isn't. But the good thing on Wikipedia is that Wikipedia will list its sources down below. So if you read a certain thing, you can go and find the sources where that information came from and learn more about it. So it is what Artie said. If you're interested in learning about any specific thing, you start out with a search engine. The most used one is Google, and Google, which might work in your favor, is that once you start researching a specific thing, Google, every time you do a new search, will base its results on your previous search history. So it will give you more and more specified results on the topic that you're researching. So
another trick is to just in general skip the first four.
Skip the first four.
The first four responses. If the fifth one is still on topic, read that one first, because the first four are what everybody else has read, and that's not what you're looking for. So start with something that they didn't look at first.
Right. Okay. So going back to like Wikipedia, what would you say is the intended purpose of Wikipedia, and why is it reserved for the general mass? The general public. Why is that? I mean, that's what's interesting to me. It's almost as if the professionals or quote unquote experts do not they don't like access the same information, or they access.
Peter, is this not an age thing as far as you can tell? I mean, these are paranoias based solely upon not knowing where the information existed.
Sorry, Optimus.
Based upon not knowing where the information existed before the internet.
Right.
Do you agree that that's a Peter?
Yeah, up to a point, certainly. I mean, at this point, the most readily available source of information is a site like Wikipedia, which isn't always accurate, but they do have tons of moderators who try and keep it as accurate as possible. So
it's literally built by people who use the site. It's not built by academics, or it's literally built by the people that you would rather get your information from, except that sometimes that information is flawed.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. There you go.
They're not academics. You're not reading papers posted from academics when you read about Charles Schultz.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
But I will still say that if you want to go to the sources, to the academic sources, those are listed on Wikipedia as well. So if you really want to dive into a specific subject, what you do is not only read the page on Wikipedia, but go to the sources, because some of the edits made on the page might not be 100% accurate, but you can go to the actual source and find out more.
That's
And-
also how you
and-
find out if something they've said is bullshit.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
true. Yeah, I think. Yeah, no. Yeah, perhaps maybe it just shows you. But why
That's
is
how
it
I
that
would do
they've?
it.
Yeah, okay. Why is it that public schools have adopted, a Wikipedia approach? So they've incorporated Wikipedia into their system,
Because
and
they
I don't understand why. If it's not, I don't know. I've never understood
it's
that.
not a Wikipedia approach in the fact that they're just taking input from students' parents as to what the facts are. They're starting with a set of
Right.
facts, and they might make only the most basic facts the most readily available. But if you want to learn that shit, you can continue your education where they will teach it to you, or you can
Yeah, no, that's
go to a
exactly the
library and
point.
look
So
it up
there's
for
this.
yourself.
Exactly. No, no, you're right. But exactly. So you've basically agreed with what I said. There are these set dynamics in place, and
Yes,
so
a teacher has a set amount of time to accomplish some goal of a standard education on some subject. And no, you're
yes,
not
correct.
going to learn everything about why the Washington, D.C. is where it is from your English history class, because it's just
Well,
not
yeah,
important enough for you to
Well, I
learn
know.
that in the amount of time they had to teach you about
Well-
American politics.
Yeah.
Well, because they're choosing, they're providing the
Yes,
information.
they're absolutely
deciding
editing
what
it
you
for content.
exactly. There you go. That's my
They
point.
have no
So they're
choice.
deciding.
There
No.
is no book of actual human
They're
history.
deciding what people.
There's
what-
no
no.
there's no single thing that exists that has everything written down in it for you to fucking look up. There is
Right,
no
okay.
such fucking thing.
Yeah. Okay.
It's
cool.
all existent somewhere else from other
Mhm.
people.
It
You
exists
have
on.
to rely
Right,
on
okay.
other people for these
But
things.
why?
Yeah.
No,
There
but
is
what?
no
No,
single
but what
source.
if? Right. No,
Sorry.
of course. But what? Why? I know. I think. Yeah.
I
Are
apologize.
you okay? Are you right?
I am. I'm gonna be all right.
Great.
That's just Artie being Artie, Martin. Don't.
Yeah, I know. I can tell.
Yeah, that's not personal.
Maybe it's passion or something.
It's a
there's
little bit of
like
frustration and a
integrity.
whole bunch of enthusiasm.
Exactly. There's some sort of enthusiasm and integrity. No, that's correct. But why is it? It's almost as if like it seems as though these dynamics seem to be set in motion and they're for specific purposes and they're
I have to interrupt. Martin, I have to interrupt. There is no why. The why question is flawed.
Oh, I'm pretty sure there is. Well, I mean, they encourage people not to ask, the question of why. But why is it that certain information is provided and other information is not provided? Is omitted?
We just
for
spent
instance.
15 minutes trying to explain to you that it is provided.
Yeah, it is. It is
Well,
provided.
again, I'm very skeptical of like the
I
educational
insist that
system.
you go find it.
Hold
I will
on,
help-
Artie,
like I said, I will help you
Artie,
find it.
hold on. Let him talk. Why do you think it is not provided?
Why do I think it's not provided? I think the information is omitted because perhaps maybe they don't want people to know about actual events throughout history, important events, for instance, or they don't give enough details.
Okay.
So they've got people like
And I have to ask another clarifying question. Who's they?
I finished. Oh well, I don't know, maybe the higher ups, you could say. Let's call them the higher ups, right? The overlook,
the immortals.
Yeah. No, okay. So maybe like the overseers, you could say. Yeah.
Either way, they're still immortal, apparently.
Right.
What I'm trying to get at, Artie, hold on. What I'm trying to get at, that this way of thinking is actually what religion provides. They do not want you to look elsewhere. They want you to look to your own holy book. Don't look to any other holy books or even look outside of holy books. That's where they exist, because they've got an agenda. When it comes to education, I don't think that there's an agenda to withhold information from you in order to educate yourself. And in the age of the internet, that's not even possible anymore, because you've got all the information you want at the tip of your fingers, and all you need to do.
Because,
Yes, really. Yes, really.
No. So my example
Use
was
your
bringing
fingers
up
to ask me a question, and I will help you find the answer.
Hold on, Artie. Hold on. What do you think there is
Yeah.
the information that there is that you're not allowed to see. What information would that be? That
Well, okay. So why is it that I can't? Why is it that I don't know about, say maybe like I don't know like the intricacies of maybe like a certain animal behavior, right? But other people do, and so for instance, I think you mentioned what was
because
it?
you haven't looked it up.
Chordates or something.
Because you haven't.
And you,
No. It's not. It's because it seems
it's
to be
not.
set.
That's not why I know things you don't. I wasn't taught them
Yeah.
by somebody else.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so my intention there. Okay. So I think the intention there was Peter. I think in the first show, the previous show that we had, I think it was a few months ago now. He mentioned something about like chordates. I've never heard of like a chordate, right? I was never taught like
You are a
chordate.
chordate.
So
You are a
there you
chordate.
go. Well,
Hey,
I
Martin.
would need to know what a chordate is, but that's
Martin,
the thing.
A chordate is an animal. A chordate. Hold on, Audie. Hold on. A
Martin,
chordate.
I don't know what a chordate is. I'm going to learn it with you.
I'm just about to explain if my dog will let me.
Just saying, I'm going to learn it with Martin right now.
Okay, hold on. A chordate is an animal that has a spinal cord. That's it.
That makes
So
sense.
wait.
This right here,
pretty sure
this brown thing that's now trying to attack me, that's a chordate because it's got a spinal cord.
Yeah. So a vertebrate. Why don't you just say?
No. There's
There
no. Hold on.
seems to be
No. A chordate is not a vertebrate, but a chordate can be a vertebrate. A vertebrate.
Oh, okay. Well,
Every
there you go.
vertebrate
I don't
is a
even know.
chordate. And my dog is getting animated right now because he's seeing Eddie and Shorty, and he really likes what he's seeing, and then he wants me to help him out. No, so, but that is just how we classify life. And if you want to learn more about that, again, subscribe to Aaron Ross' channel. He has and go look for the playlist Systematic Classification of Life. And go through that. That's where you can learn a whole lot of things that you probably weren't taught in school. Because, as Artie said,
they only
have you for so long, brother.
As Artie said, they do not have the time to teach you all of this. This goes down into the specifics. When you're at school, depending on the direction that you choose later on in higher education, you're going to learn more specialist things about a specific subject. When you're in school, you just learn the general things, and
exactly, and that's why people use Google. Exactly, that proves my point. So yeah, no, I can see that. No, I can
genuinely don't know what you think the point is that we're supposed to be getting from this. And I'm not saying that to be an ass, but I genuinely don't know.
Before and I want to say that before Google, you also had ways to learn about this, because Artie mentioned a library. Artie mentioned a library. When I was growing up, I went to the Museum of Natural History a lot because I wanted to learn about life, and I wanted to learn about our history, and that's where and that's where you go, and that's where you get your information from. And if you go there enough, you will be talking to the people who work there, and who will be able to tell you even more than what you can see on display. So
they might even call you to tell you they have your dog at 10 o'clock at night.
Right.
So
right, Shady?
So it's not you're stuck, Martin. You're a young guy. You're stuck with Google, because that is something that you grew up with, that existed when you were growing up and realizing that you wanted to educate yourself.
Actually,
Martin,
well, at least for the most part, it was. But
Martin, I think the thing that you don't understand has ever existed is an encyclopedias. I think,
I'm very familiar with encyclopedias, but I actually didn't know that they could be.
Did your family have a set of encyclopedias?
Yeah.
Okay.
And did they get
normal in your encyclopedias.
And did they get
no,
new
that's
ones
true.
on a
So
regular
then-
basis? Because an encyclopedia is only as good as how new it is.
I wasn't even allowed to use the set that we had after the 6th grade because they were older than that. They were printed. I think the copyright was like 1969 or 70, which is about, well, either I was
Actually
born that year or
that's
a
very
year old.
interesting.
But
No,
Brad
no,
was
no,
starting
actually-
to. But Brad was starting to enter school at that age, so they spent and they're not fucking cheap. These were
No,
half the price of a car.
yeah.
Sorry, actually, I want to elaborate on that, or kind of add my own take to that. What's interesting, yeah, no, I think you're right. Why would copyright be kind of, why would it be involved in what you said there? I'm very confused. It's like,
Because information gets updated over time. It's not a holy book. It's
And the copyright
that
is
doesn't make
there.
any sense.
The copyright is there because the manufacturers of a certain encyclopedia have to pay people money in order to put their encyclopedia together. So if you don't have a copyright, then anyone else could just copy your encyclopedia with all the money and the work that you put in, and just copy it and market it. Yes. And so you wouldn't want to have that to happen, because then you lose revenue, and you wouldn't be able to bring out an update, because, as I said, an encyclopedia isn't that good if it's 10 years old.
Everything you have said tonight has a copyright.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Maybe. I have no idea.
Well,
But
it does in the United States.
no surprise. No surprise. I wouldn't be surprised. But
we're big on rights here.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, it's just I'm not sure why they would copyright that. Perhaps maybe it's because they don't want.
Because
maybe they
somebody was getting paid to write.
Sorry, Artemis. Could I continue?
No, you're acting like they're copywriting the information. That's not what they've done.
Yeah, exactly.
They're copywriting the right.
Very weird.
Their production of the information is what they have a copyright to, not the information contained therein. So,
I would
your
argue
argument for why you don't understand is kind of silly, because it's just like anything else that gets written.
No.
So
I think you've completely missed.
I'm entitled to be paid for what I have produced.
There's a reason. There's a reason why they've adopted that system anyway. Again, it's all a dynamic. There's a reason why.
I really would rather you tell me about it.
Great, thank you. Thanks. I'm loving the conversation.
I didn't take a fucking. Never mind. I don't have. Okay. I've never taken a law class about any of this shit. So
yeah, well, I don't need to. So I
know you don't.
But
how could you?
Great, thank you. Yeah, no, I think I understand the reason why is because maybe could it be that I don't know. I mean, this is somewhat of kind of like a guess. I'm not sure about this. I don't like to make definite, I don't like to make quote unquote an educated guess on anything because I might be wrong, right? And I think that's really a big part that comes into it. I think when it comes to copyright, I think maybe there's a sense of perhaps intimidation. There's like an intimidation aspect. So for instance, if someone derives information that you would then obtain later on, does that make sense there? Like, so for instance, a professional would, in a specific subject, an expert, so to say, they would, they would acquire the information from these academic institutions, and perhaps maybe the encyclopedia is reserved for the general public. Thus, they, this is great actually. It's one of these where if I get this, it clicks. It's quite clever, I think. I think that's the whole idea there. So they do not want people to derive the information that they would later perhaps learn throughout their academic career. Does that make sense there? Because then it would undermine the learning process that they have gone through, right? So they apply some sort of copyright label. You could say, I don't really know. Does that make sense there? Can you see what I'm saying? I think that is it, really, if you want the truth. It's kind of like a right to private property type of situation.
Yeah, it's really weird that it's like that.
Sorry?
It's really weird that people would claim their work as
I
private
think
property.
I think I've got an easy way to
it's
explain
the
this.
same idea, Artemis.
Martin,
I think you know that.
I think
You're
I've
a
got
clever
an
guy,
easy
Never. I
way
think
to
maybe-
explain this. So
Okay.
let's say that you make furniture, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And you make a chest of drawers.
Yeah.
If you sell it, do you think you ought to get paid?
If I sell it, do I owe to get paid? Yeah, that's true, but it all
Why?
depends on
Why?
the intention.
Why?
If
No.
I have-
Hold on.
Why should you be paid?
Hold on.
Yeah.
Keep
But it all
with
depends
my.
on the
Oh, no. Hold on.
intention. If
Hold on,
there
Martin.
is-
Martin.
Yeah, well-
Martin. Hold on.
Okay. Yep.
Why do you think you should get paid?
Why do I think I should get paid? Because I've put a lot of work into it. See, there you go.
Ah.
Because I've got a yes.
So that is the same with intellectual property. You put the work
Yeah,
into
exactly.
it.
I thought so.
So
I
you
thought
ought
so.
to be
Exactly.
paid, right?
You're proving my point. You're proving my point, though. You're proving my point. There is a
So
sense
you don't
of
think
like,
an author should ever be paid for anything?
do I think an author should
They're
ever
using
be
words that have
paid
all
for everything?
existed for years. They're just building off of other people's work.
Yeah,
Mark
I've got my own
Twain
opinion
never
on that.
deserved a dime for anything he ever wrote to anybody ever, for anybody, published for any reason. All of that was bullshit. The world was fucked by being billed for having to pay for Mark Twain books.
Okay, sure.
I guess that's probably why
Sorry.
all the Bibles I bought were free. God damn it, man! You're so frustrating.
Sorry about that.
I-
But no, I can definitely see.
I
how
don't
it is-
understand why you don't think that somebody's work should be paid for, and that they have a right to be paid for it.
Oh no. Listen, I'm not
You
negating that.
fucking
I'm
don't. You
not
think
negating-
copyright is bullshit, and all
Artie,
copyright
you
does
calm
is
down.
protect. Protect.
Artie,
somebody's-
calm down. Calm down.
I think he's conflating trademark and a bunch of other shit, and it's
the same idea. It's the exact same
Yeah,
idea.
why should you not be able to use my image to make money for you?
But I wouldn't. What? No. It all depends on whether or not the person, chooses to adopt that very same, I guess, notion or whatever it is, right? Maybe learn the same thing in a different way. You could say maybe like a more less professional, quote unquote, sort of way. And I think that's the idea of like piracy. I think that's interesting. And I was actually.
So you're
Funnily
okay
enough,
piracy?
sorry, could I continue? Because this is
No, I genuinely want to know if you're okay with piracy at this point.
No, you missed the whole point of piracy anyway. I mean, people just
I
see.
think I'm the
things-
one missing the fucking point on piracy.
Artemis. So I was actually putting I was kind of mapping everything and putting everything together with my family actually. I think it was the other month. And I told them, I gave them an example of, you obviously know Pirates of the Caribbean, right? The movie.
And the ride.
Right. Yeah. I think, have you noticed within Pirates of the Caribbean, the ships are kind of, they resemble the captain's personality, right? Have you noticed that? So like, Captain Jack Sparrow, his personality.
Do you think does the Black Pearl change depending on who's the captain?
Well, put it this way: why did
does
Jack
the Black
Sparrow,
Pearl change according to who's the captain?
Sorry, thanks. We'll put it this way: why did Jack Sparrow say that? He would go down with the ship. Essentially, why did he say that? Because he's.
What
put
were the
his life-
differences between the ship
Artemis,
when there were
listen,
two
please.
different captains?
Artemis.
It's kind of based on what you're saying, brother.
Yes, exactly.
So what
the
were the
point.
differences on the Black Pearl between the two captains?
Artemis, you're missing the point. You don't even understand, like, probably. Anyway.
I think I have to jump in because when Artie mentioned piracy,
right.
you went to a movie, and then talked about
that's what.
hold on, listen for a second,
Okay.
and then talked about how the captain went under with the ship. When
Yes.
Artie
Do you know what that
mentioned
means?
no, hold on. When Artie mentioned
Oh.
piracy, he meant stealing from someone else and selling it
Well,
for profit or giving it
Correct.
away and getting the profit in a different way. That has nothing to do with a captain going down with the sinking ship. It means that you
Okay.
steal.
Yeah.
It means the piracy Artie mentioned is stealing someone's property, whether that is actual physical
Yeah.
property or intellectual property. That's the same thing.
Okay, so would you like me to elaborate, because this is quite clever. If it's one of these ideas
Artie,
where if
Artie
I get
asked you the
it's
question.
like a light bulb.
Hold on, Artie asked you the question
Yeah.
whether or not you were okay with piracy.
Yeah. No, that's a straw man. I never said it was. So
No. It wasn't a straw man. It was a question.
Don't paint me with that brush.
No. No one's painting you with that brush. Hold on.
Well,
it is a
like
question. It is a question,
okay.
And you can answer the question, and we will take your answer and run with that.
Well, would you like me to elaborate on what I meant? I mean, you're not even letting me elaborate.
I want you to go back to where we were when we were talking about copyright, and Artie said, "Do you agree with piracy?" Which is basically evading copyright.
Well, I think people miss they miss why. Sorry, they kind of go over why it might be implemented, so they miss that important detail. And what I was doing there by bringing up the idea of Pirates of the Caribbean is, before I was interrupted, quite rudely interrupted as well. But anyway, my point by bringing up the Pirates of the Caribbean is you can see how the ship, like the ship that the captain kind of sailed, right, and he kind of built even. So he's put all his personality. So he's kind of what's a really good way of
he assumed.
Assumed exchange. Yes, he's exchanged his personality with the ship, and so he's kind of the ship has absorbed his personality because he really cares for the ship, and so that's exactly what Pirates of the Caribbean.
Different captain. The ship was different. How?
I think we're going off. Hold on, time out. No, time out. We're running off on a different tangent here, and that's not.
I'm trying to show him that the point he's trying to make doesn't prove the point, because the ship itself did not change from one captain to the next. The ship was the same.
No. Okay,
yeah. There were two different Barbossa and Captain Sparrow.
Can we get back from the movie, because the movie has nothing to do with
trying to destroy his fucking.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
It actually does, surprisingly.
It doesn't. It doesn't. The movie has nothing to do with copyright. A captain going down with his ship has nothing to do with copyright, with intellectual property. It has nothing to do with any of that.
The concept, it's the
concept. What's funny
is not the same concept. It's not the same concept.
Peter in Pain is very succinct and on point, and he drives to a thing, and he wants to get a thing finished.
Because I want to get away from the whole movie thing, because it's not productive, and because it has nothing to do with the conversation.
It's very identical. That's the point.
It is not. It is exactly. 100%. It has exactly nothing to do with it.
100%. Of course it does. It's okay. So let's.
Do you think? Okay, time out. Artie, I've been silent for most of the time. Now it's my time to speak. So, do you think that a captain going down with his ship has anything to do with money?
It's very, the concept is very identical.
No, I'm not talking about concepts that are identical.
Sorry,
I'm asking you.
I'm not really liking this at the moment. I'm not
listening.
No, because
it's not
where
very,
we're going is not productive. That's why I'm stepping in.
I actually think it's very productive, and it ties into what you're
great,
saying.
But we're on our channel, and I don't think it's productive. I'm sorry to have to say you this, but this is not productive. It's a non-conversation. It's.
Do you know what, Peter? What makes you say that? What makes you say that?
Because the topic that we were addressing, where people are actually getting paid for their work, and you thinking that that might not be the right thing to do, is to me is a much more interesting thing to talk about.
It's very interesting what I'm going to talk about, but you're not letting me continue. So there's
no, because I don't want to talk about the movie of the Pirates of the Caribbean. First of all, I've never seen any of those movies. Second of all, it has nothing to do with the topic. So let's skip the whole movie thing and let's get back to the topic, which is why you can charge money for intellectual property, whether it's written down, whether it's in speech, whether it's in art, it doesn't matter.
You genuinely questioned whether or not Mark Twain should be paid for writing.
I'm not sure who Mark Twain. I think that rings a bell, but I don't know exactly who. But yeah.
Let's not get on another tangent about Mark Twain. Just pick any writer, and that's fine.
Yeah. Michael Palin. You don't think Michael Palin should get paid for anything he ever wrote?
That's not what I was saying. Okay, so
so effectively what you're saying.
Yes.
Well, first of all, Peter kept rudely interrupting me, which I didn't really appreciate.
No, I want you to understand that it is effectively what you're saying.
What is? Sorry. What's effectively what I'm saying?
The people who wrote the encyclopedias and published and printed them and distributed them aren't entitled to any monies from that because now go. They're not entitled to money because why?
I wasn't really focusing. I'm actually not really. I'm not really appreciating this. I'm actually. I had a really good idea in mind by linking, by kind of drawing in, the parallels between parts of the Caribbean and what you were talking about there with copyright, and the idea is very identical to one another, and then you just interrupt it. It would have been a really good example. It would have been such a good example if you just let me continue. It would have been very clever. But,
okay,
you just keep on interrupting. There's no point.
I demonstrated immediately.
Can we stop? Can we stop talking about
it's
whether?
100% identical.
Can we stop talking about what would be good and go back to the topic? Because I really want, I really want to flesh out the topic, because you did say at some point that intellectual property, like for instance an encyclopedia, you questioned why there would be a copyright. Why are you questioning a copyright?
Why am I questioning a copyright? Because it all depends on the intended purpose of the manufacturing of that encyclopedia, wouldn't it? It would depend on the purpose.
Yes.
Well, it would be.
It'd
be a damn shame if somebody tried to make money selling books.
What? Yeah. Anyway, sure. I don't know how that ties into it, but the reason why
exactly.
What? I don't really get it. I don't understand it. Sorry, Martin.
Yeah, and that seems to be the problem. That's why I try to rein it back in, because you don't see the problem that there's a copyright. You see a problem with there being a copyright on an encyclopedia, which is put together, which costs a lot of money, costs a lot of research, needs you to employ a lot of people, and you don't think that they can ask people not to just readily copy their work without paying. That's and I'm
Bible.
Hold on, Artie. Bibles.
You ever fucking read came from the Gideons?
Hold on.
Do you know what's funny? Actually,
Bibles have copyright.
What was the Bible's intended purpose?
Bibles
have copyright pages.
Hold on. Bibles are copyrighted, Martin. You didn't know this?
No, but what was the Bible's intended purpose? Who was it purpose?
We're not going off on a tangent about the Bible. We're going back to whether or not copyright.
Who was it purpose to? It's supposed to be by God, right?
We're not talking about the Bible, Martin. We're not talking about the Bible. We're talking about copyright and whether or not it is justified.
Okay. No, of course. Okay, so the reason why I brought up the Bible is because actually, I think Artemis brought up the Bible.
We're
But you
not
just said
talking about the
and I think that's a
Bible.
really
Let's
good
go
example.
back. Martin,
Okay.
Martin, I have to rein you in because you keep drifting off.
Yes.
If you
Okay,
write a book,
Yes.
in order to make money,
Yeah.
can I then copy your book and start selling it without paying you?
So you're talking about like an open market system type of ordeal, or these
You're
kind
not.
of dynamics, right? It's like an
Don't
open
add
market,
into
so-
what I'm saying. You're writing a book
Okay.
because you want to make money. Doesn't matter what the book
If
is
that's my
about.
intended purpose.
If
What
you
I
keep
don't-
talking over me, you won't hear the question.
Sorry.
Let's say you write a book in order to make money.
Mhm.
You're out of money, you want to make money, and you think, hey, I can write a book about this, and I can sell it, and I can make money. Let's say you do that. Can I then copy your book and start selling it without giving you any of my profit?
It all depends on the person who actually created the book, right?
It's
So
not
if
about
they've
a
written the book-
person, it's about Martin. It's about you. You made the book in order to make money. Can I now steal your book and start selling it without giving you any money?
What if I give you
Not
the
what
go-ahead to do
if,
so?
not what if,
What if I grant you?
not what if. Just the
yeah.
facts that I'm saying.
No, Peter.
No,
it's up to
no,
me, though,
we're
isn't
not
it?
adding in anything
Of course it
else. Don't
gosh,
add in
honestly.
anything else. Just my question. Answer my question as I asked it, not add in anything else.
Right. Okay.
So is it okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is it okay if you take my life's work or something?
Yes.
That's essentially
For
it, right?
instance?
Okay, so if you copy my life's work, if I put like my personality, etc., expressions into the book, it depends. What if I do? What if I do, Peter?
What if you do what?
Yeah. What if I accept that what if I grant you the I guess what would that be, like the not really authority, but what would that be, like okay, if I said yes, you can you can copy my life's work, for instance.
Okay,
Anyway,
great.
I know
What would happen to what would happen? Artie, stay out of this just for a second. Just for a second.
I will.
What would happen to your revenue?
what would happen to my revenue. I wouldn't have any well, I wouldn't gain any income, but I've made
Okay,
the
great.
assumption.
Stop.
That's
Stop. Not but you wouldn't get any income. So how would you pay your rent? How would you pay for your food?
How would I pay for the rent? How would I pay for the food? Okay. Shall I tell you? I mean,
Providing just so we get this straight, you're depending on your income that comes from your book. So now that income dries up because you were okay with me copying it and selling it cheaper because I didn't have to do all the work. So I can sell it much cheaper than you do. And because I sell it cheaper, I will sell more and make a bigger profit than you did. And in the meantime, you're out of money because you didn't have a problem with me taking your work and just selling it for profit.
yeah. So essentially, you're talking about capitalism, the capitalist.
No, I'm essentially talking about how you would get by if I stole your income.
Well, that's capitalism. Yes, of course.
No. That's not capitalism. That's not capital. That is not capitalism. That is me stealing your income.
Of course it is.
No, it's me
It's 100%
stealing.
capitalism.
It is me stealing your income. It's exactly the same as if I went over to your house
No, of course, but
and would take everything that you own.
right. Yeah.
That's not capitalism. That is theft.
Yes. No, that's well.
Theft is not
No.
capitalism.
Okay. Well. Okay. So I think it's theft that is occurring in a capitalistic system. Right?
We're not talking about. We can have. I could do this in a communistic. I could do this in a communistic system. I could go over to your house and steal everything you have, and still have the exact same thing. You would have no income. You would have nothing. Artie, your microphone.
The same way about patents. You feel the same way about art.
Hold on, Artie. This isn't productive. Let me finish this, please. This has nothing to do with whether it's capitalism or whether it's any other system that you can think of. I'm targeting you and your income.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what system you live in. You need an income in order to pay your rent and to provide yourself with food. Am I correct?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Well, obviously, yeah.
So, can you now at least acknowledge that this has nothing to do with capitalism?
I think like I said, it happens. These dynamics happen within a capitalistic system.
These dynamics happen within a communist system as well. People can steal under communism.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps
Perhaps
I'm
people
not really sure
people can steal in a society where there's people can steal in a society that doesn't even have money. I can still steal stuff from you.
No, but what would your goal be if there's no sort of okay? So if
what would your goal be if you had no protection over that which you own?
I'm not really understanding that, really.
Exactly. This is why listening to my questions and trying to listen closely to my questions and answering just my questions, not adding in all kinds of different stuff, that would help. Because you're losing it, because the moment I give you a scenario, you go out of your way to add in tons of different things into that scenario in order to make it fit in your mind.
They're all interconnected. Well, they're all interconnected.
They're not interconnected if I give you a specific scenario.
I think they are. We'll put it this way. Did theft, for instance, happen before capitalism was incorporated within maybe a certain country?
Theft existed before capitalism was even thought of.
How so?
Because capitalism hasn't always been a thing, and people have always stolen from other people. It has nothing to do with capitalism.
Okay, so you're talking about, like, so for instance, maybe people on like some sort of deserted island where perhaps maybe they might steal some coconuts, for instance, from each other. Is that what you're talking about? Like there's kind of like some sort of foundation. Is that what you're saying? That kind of idea, right?
Don't you get the concept of theft?
Yeah. No, obviously. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So what is?
Sorry, Peter. I've actually just realized the problem. It depends on how valuable the thing is in question, right?
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Of course it does.
No, it doesn't.
How?
It depends on who the owner is and who is taking it, who's not the owner. Value doesn't even come into it. You might own a decent car that to you has no value at all, and I could steal it, but the car still has value in that it is your. You keep over talking me, and then you don't hear what I'm saying.
Well, it's because it's.
You keep over talking me. You keep over talking me, and you don't hear what I say. That's a problem.
I'm sorry.
The car is your. The car is your property.
Yeah.
Okay. who else has a right to that car if it is your property?
If it's my okay, so what is determining whether or not it's my property? What is that? I mean, that would be very interesting. So what determines if my car is valuable to me? In other words, what determines that? I'm just gonna get a drink. Sorry. Hello, Peter.
How is this relevant?
It's very relevant. What determines it? What determines if something is valuable? Who determines if something is valuable? That'd be very interesting.
The value has nothing to do with any of this.
Of course it does. Of course,
No,
absolutely, 100%.
ownership is the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter if it's worth 10p or whether it's worth £1 million. We're talking about ownership. We're talking about ownership.
Okay, so who imbues the value onto?
It's not about value. Like it's about ownership. How do you not grasp this?
Because I just disagree with you. I really disagree with you, Peter.
So when the things you own are all exceptionally valuable?
The things I own are. It depends if I again. It depends if I imbue the value.
It doesn't depend. It doesn't depend. You own things. Everything you own is that extremely valuable? That's a yes or no question.
Whether or not I value them.
That's a yes or no question.
Whether or not I choose to value
okay,
them.
But then it's still a yes or no question.
Okay.
So you don't value the things you own.
I don't think it's a yes and no. I think that's
wrong. You don't. Well, I'm asking you a specific question. You do not value the things you own?
Do I not value the things I own? It depends. It depends.
On what?
It all depends, right? It all depends on me. Like I said, I instill the
Which is why I'm asking you the question. I'm not asking your neighbor. I'm asking you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Great. So can you answer?
Yeah, sure. So again, it's not a yes or no question. I think that's
the answer is no. We can't.
I'm really at a loss, Martin. Why do you own? So, why do you even own stuff?
Why do I even own stuff? Because I partake in a system which kind of
use the word.
Artie, let him go. Artie, let him go. Don't interrupt.
Yeah, because I partake in a system that right. Okay. I partake in a system that encourages the ownership of things, stuff, right? No.
That's I don't even believe that.
Okay. Well, you're free to not believe that.
Okay, so what kind of device are you on right now?
An iPad.
Okay. Why do you own an iPad? Because people told you should own an iPad? Or are you actually using it?
No, I'm actually using it. It was actually a birthday gift from my family.
So is it beneficial?
Is it beneficial? I enjoy the bonuses of it, I suppose you could say.
It's a yes or no question.
So these.
Do you benefit? Do you benefit?
Yes,
do you benefit?
Can be, yeah.
You're still over talking. You're
really
still
yes
over talking.
no.
Martin, we can't have this. If I'm asking you a question, you can't over talk me.
Okay, right.
Do you benefit from owning the iPad?
Could I say yes and no? Because the reason why I say yes and no, well, the reason why I say no, is because it all depends on whether or not I value it.
Okay, so why don't you throw it away?
I could.
No, it's not what you could. I'm asking you why you didn't do that.
Why I didn't? Because yeah, I've decided that it's valuable to me. It was a birthday
Aha.
gift, and because yeah, well, it was a birthday
So,
gift, and
so
I
this
don't.
took us about 15 minutes in order to figure out that you own stuff that you actually value.
What? Um. Okay. Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
So, what if I steal your iPad? Is that okay?
You can do it.
I can.
What's stopping you?
I
Yeah.
can. My question is,
Yeah.
do you think it's okay?
Do I think it's okay? I personally do not. But you
Exactly.
can do it.
There we go. There
Okay.
we go.
Yes.
Finally.
Right.
So
Okay,
you think when you own something that
Yeah.
you value, I don't have the right to take that away from you.
Okay, so what's
No,
instilling
no,
the
no.
right
Answer
there?
the question that I asked.
No,
Not try and get
answer
me
the
a different
question.
question.
No, listen. I think it would be really
Why am you not answering,
beneficial for
Martin?
us
Why
if
you're
we
not
actually.
answering the question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm critically like analyzing it.
No, you're
I'm
not.
looking for the.
You're
I'm
evading
I am?
the answer,
No,
and you're evading
no.
the answer because it would point out that you were wrong earlier on in the show.
No, of
Yes.
course not. Everything that I've
Oh,
said
so it's
thus
okay.
far
So
is
it's okay
connected.
for me to come over to the UK and steal your iPad.
What's stopping you? Yeah, I mean, okay.
No, no, you would be okay with that. You wouldn't call the cops
Personally,
and
I wouldn't. Yeah, so personally, I wouldn't because
why wouldn't you?
again, because it was a gift from my
Well,
family.
what does that have to do with anything?
Well, because that might be a part of its value of where it kind of derives its value from.
Yeah,
You say,
okay. So,
yeah. So then I probably in that case wouldn't appreciate it.
so,
I wouldn't appreciate you coming over to
but
the UK
I
and
mean,
stealing.
the fact that it's
Yeah.
a gift, that value, that particular value, wouldn't transfer to me if I stole it, would it?
No, because
Exactly. So it doesn't matter then, right?
it all depends on the. Yeah. So it
I wouldn't
depends on
steal
the
the
first
feeling. I wouldn't
clause in
steal
that.
the feeling
So
that you got it as a gift. I
Mhm.
would just steal the thing itself.
But if I didn't tell you that it was a gift, would you consider it? Would that be a consideration of you
No,
know that was part of your
no,
decision
because
making process?
I'm looking at the thing itself. The thing itself has value, and I would, if it's something that I would like to have, and I could steal that from you, and you were okay with that, then I could just steal
Okay.
that from you, which saves me the money of buying it for myself.
I don't really see your point there. I kind of I fail to understand.
You don't see the point that it's cheaper to
No,
steal
like
your iPad than to go to a shop and buy one?
Peter, I'm going to make a bunch of T-shirts based on the quotes from this motherfucker, and I intend to keep every goddamn gun to myself.
Please let me finish this particular thing because this has been drawn out for far too long.
it's a very interesting conversation. It is all tied as well. Everything that I've said thus far is connected to.
I'm
everything that I've said
still waiting for the
previously.
answer. I'm still waiting for the answer
Yeah.
on
Okay.
my question.
What was it again? Sorry.
Do you think? See, this is the problem with you. You don't listen to someone's question, and this is why it's
Well,
so
I do.
frustrating.
No,
Do you
it's
think
because
it is cheaper for me to steal your iPad than to go buy one?
Do I think it's cheaper? Probably, yeah.
Probably. Do you think
Yes.
do you think I can buy an iPad for the same amount of money that I would spend on stealing one from you?
Do you think that like you can buy another iPad for the same amount of money from the one that you've stolen from me? Yeah, you could.
What? I'm good. I'm good with what?
Wait, good? Wait, did I say good?
I asked you a
That's all
question
right.
and you said, "Yeah, you're good," which
Oh,
is
wait,
which is
okay,
basically
sorry, I meant
saying
yes,
which is
yes,
basically saying
yes.
the logo, the Zammer logo behind me, which is the
You know what? Actually,
which
maybe,
is the
yeah,
color, which is
maybe
the
I'm not getting it.
color
I don't know.
of the letters, and you would say, well, four-wheeled. That's
No,
about the
I
answer you
think the
gave.
reason, okay, I think the problem is because I've never considered this. This hasn't like been a thing that I've thought about like in depth before. Does that make sense
Exactly,
there?
and that's why you objected to copyright, because you don't see the fact
Okay.
that if you work
Mm-hmm.
hard for something, that you should get
Yeah.
something in return. Instead, you would
Right.
be fine
Yeah.
with someone
Okay.
else taking that money from you and you being back at square one, having nothing, which would amount to you having nothing over your entire life. Because if you don't value your own work, why should anyone else
Mm-hmm.
value it?
Well, it depends. What if I give my work away without any sort of
Yeah, what
reward?
and what? Okay, so what if you would? How would
Yeah,
you eat? How would you
that's the
eat?
point.
How would you buy
It ties
food?
into what I'm saying.
What if you would? How would you buy food? By telling people, "Hey,
You
I
would
gave my
obviously
work away, so can you give me some free food?" How would that work?
no, yeah, no. You obviously yeah, there's some sort of like uh mutual exchange
But there is
in
no
that
mutual
situation.
exchange. If you give away your
Well, there can
work,
be.
you have nothing left to exchange, right?
Well, there can be, of course. You give your work
No,
in hopes of earning some
no,
sort of income from
no.
that. Yes, of course.
If
What? All right, Peter. I'm not like I'm
the
confused.
only person you could have an exchange with is the person who you gave your work to. No one else.
So wait, I'm confused. So,
And if
well, yes,
that was the
that's the
case,
point.
you would still have some kind of a
Yeah.
monetary system, right? You would give your work in
Yeah.
exchange for their work.
Yeah.
Just without money, it would
because
still be a capitalist system,
actually,
because you would still exchange your work for somebody else's work, and you would have to make a balance in order to see whether or not you get the same amount of work, which is still a capitalist system, just without money.
yeah, you're proving my point.
Yes, I'm
You're
proving you
my point.
wrong.
It's
I'm proving you wrong.
how so?
I'm
How
proving
so?
you.
But,
I'm
okay,
proving
so
you wrong.
without
Where you said that copyright doesn't matter,
I think copyright can only exist in a capitalist system. That's what I said.
which we
I'm
have just
confused.
proven that it doesn't matter whether or not there is money involved, whether or not it's a capitalist system, whether or not it's a communist system. You still have
Okay.
the right to your own work, and you still have the right to get paid for your own work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You don't
true,
get
but,
a
okay,
you don't
what
get
is,
a job,
that's
and
the
then at
point.
the end of the
Okay.
month, your boss comes to you and say, "Hey, I paid your salary, but I paid it to the guy who lives next door to me because I like him better than I like you, so I paid him instead."
Okay.
And you would be fine with that because there's you have no right to any money.
Okay, so
In your system, whether or not it's capitalist, communist, or whatever system it is, it's just a trading exchange. You have a right to nothing.
yeah, no,
So everyone can just take from you, give to someone else,
Yeah.
play Robin Hood,
okay.
and you're fine with that as long as
There
you're
you
the
go,
only
Robin Hood. Yeah, I know.
as long as you're the only victim.
Yeah. Well,
you'd
that's
be-
the idea of Robin Hood, right? He was
Well,
like
that's
the first Marxist. By the way, he was the first Marxist.
you're off on a tangent because I named someone.
Not really.
Oh,
no, I know that's just how my brain works.
Robin Hood has
Ignore
nothing
it.
to do with
That's how
all
my
of
brain
this.
works. Well, it's
What
he was-
what
like I
went
said, he was
over
the
your
first-
head is that you are Robin Hood's only victim, and you would be
Okay.
fine with that.
If I choose to partake in the system,
No, you don't.
that
You
has
don't have a
allowed
choice.
Robin Hood-
You don't have a choice when it comes to
Of course.
theft. When it comes to theft, someone stealing from you, you do not have a choice.
Okay, so what allows for me to participate
If
in
you
the
if you
system
get
that the
burgled,
theft
hold
took
on,
place?
Martin. If your
You
house
need to
gets
look at it from
burgled,
the
no,
bottom
I'm
up.
trying to
You need to
point
look
this
at it
out.
from the bottom up.
If your house
Yeah,
gets
you need to look at it
burgled,
from
Martin, if your house gets burgled, did you make the choice
okay.
to get your property stolen?
If my house gets burgled, did I have the choice to have my property stolen? No, I didn't.
So how come you say that you have a choice?
How come I? Well, okay, so so then it would so then we would have to venture into why this system operates the way that it does.
It's not a
And
system. It's just
ultimately,
people
that would,
coming into your
of course,
house and stealing
it is a
something. That's
system.
not a system.
No, Peter, you're not. You're kind of missing the point there. Of course. So
I am missing the point
that,
because the point that you want to point out is not the point that we're talking about, and that is the point.
it is.
Theft is a system.
Of course it is. It's the system that those individuals who have chosen to steal from the other person have partaked in. Sorry, have partook in, and as well as yourself, right? So then we, like, okay, so are we just are we just partaking in a system without our consent? I mean, that's a very interesting question. That.
Are you?
Oh, that's the system. That's the system, Martin, that you wanted, that you think was better than having. You're still talking over me. That's the system that. That's the system that you would choose.
What if I haven't chosen it?
What
if I was born into? What if
Martin? Were you part of Martin? Were you part of this show about half an hour ago?
Yes.
Okay. Well, are you the same Martin that said a half an hour ago that copyright shouldn't be a thing?
Have I? Yes, I am.
Yes. So.
Well, actually,
are you the same Martin?
no.
Are you the same Martin that thinks that you can steal in this way, but if you steal in a different way, now it's going to be a problem because now I am the victim?
Peter, I never accepted the notion of kind of what was it, copyright, right? I never accepted. Sorry, the abolition of copyright. I never accepted that.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
Piracy is not a thing.
I just never accepted that. I don't know. I'm confused. Piracy is a thing, and
not anymore. And if it doesn't involve a boat, it's not piracy. Am I right?
Okay. Well, it actually it's the modern day term piracy is a derivative from
we have to wrap this up pretty soon because we're on 2 hours.
I'm loving it. It's great.
Oh, I'm quite familiar with the derivative of the words.
Yes, of course.
What and to whom and legally how they apply in this country.
No,
my country has piracy laws. I don't know what about the UK, but the United States has laws against piracy, and it's not limited to boats.
I never said that. I never. No.
You treat it like it is, brother. I know. Yeah, I know you never said that, but you treat it like it is.
Yes. Well, it's the same concept. It's the exact same concept. Of course, it is.
It's really weird that somebody who is so committed to an ethereal world cannot imagine the value in a thought.
Okay, sure. Yeah. So the reason. Okay, so
you see no value in thought, but your entirety of your belief system exists solely as thoughts.
Okay, sure. Well, yeah, as does every other. But I mean, these are all just concepts, right? Everything around us are just
God is
a
concept.
Conceptual.
I absolutely agree.
Everything. Capitalism is a concept.
If your God's as real as capitalism, I'm fucking down for the idea because it's obviously bullshit.
Right. Okay. I'm really confused about what you're saying.
Anyway, no, you're not.
I am actually.
No, you're frustrated by the fact that it makes sense to you, and you don't want to hear that.
No.
If your God is as real as capitalism, it is bullshit. Just like capitalism, it's a figment.
Okay, so who came up with the concept of God then?
Who came up with the concept of capitalism?
Probably a group of very powerful individuals.
Oh, it required a group, but God didn't.
No, I think God just.
God is just something that everybody believes in once they've been told by their parents.
No. Well, yeah, there's kind of like a. It's contingent.
Yeah. Fuck, dude, you are so fucking frustrating. I can't believe you think there is value in thoughts.
Because I'm thinking.
But don't think there's value in thoughts. The dualities that exist in your head are so frustrating. I know that it has a lot to do with the fact that you are young, and I'm not attributing to anything.
I'm just connected.
I am not attributing it to anything but your age. That you have not yet worked out in your head that you exist in dualities that are so oppositional. That there's no reason for you not to be fucked up.
Right. Okay.
You are forcing yourself to believe things that you know don't exist in the same universe, but you will accept them as a matter of fact without questioning it because somebody told it to you, and it's whoever that person was or whatever position they hold that you respect. That's the one thing you don't question, but the rest of everything you got to fucking doubt about. Dude, you're really fucking frustrating. The notion that you don't understand why copyright or patents or anything else exists is just mind-numbingly beyond what I'm capable of grasping as a human being. I'm genuinely, it's so wrong-headed that I cannot. Can I, Artie, I cannot wrap my head around this.
Artie, can I just to throw a wrench in everything? Just to throw a wrench in everything. Martin, if I was, you said who invented capitalism. If I was going to say, in your case, that would be God, wouldn't it?
No, I think it would be
probably,
like I said, the power of...
So, Artie, hold on.
Sorry, Peter,
Artie, hold on.
Can I elaborate? I'm being interrupted quite a bit now, and this has been happening for quite some time. I haven't really appreciated this, I've got to be honest with you. I really haven't appreciated this.
Okay, but I'm going somewhere, Martin, I'm going somewhere with my question, and I like to elaborate on my question. Is it not the case that the Bible, in several chapters and in multiple verses, tells you that you need to bring offerings to the God of the Bible?
Should I tell you what Jesus Christ said? He said,
I'm not talking about Jesus Christ. I'm talking about the Bible. I'm talking about...
Do you know what he meant by that? Peter. I think you need to just calm down. Could it be all of us?
Hold on. No, I'm not calming down because you're evading the question again.
It is.
The Bible doesn't start with Jesus. Jesus is barely in the second half of the Bible.
Okay.
The first half of the Bible, there are numerous instances where you have to provide offerings to the God of the Bible. You have to go to the temple and you have to bring cows and oxen and goats and you have to bring prime offerings, right? Not second choice. And all of that is for your God.
Yeah. Yes. And do you know what's ironic there? Atheism and scientists alike, they've adopted the same exact sacrificial system where they subject innocent animals to
you don't want to address this, right? You don't. I don't care about whataboutism. Martin,
no Christian has ever sacrificed anything just to smear the blood on the fucking door so God didn't kill their kids.
Martin, I'm not talking about any whataboutisms that you want to bring up. I'm talking about the God of Christianity, who wanted payment from the people he supposedly created. Payment after payment after payment after payment after payment after payment after payment.
Right.
No, right.
Who wanted the payment? God did.
Who got any payment from God?
Who got the payment from God?
Have you ever opened your bank account and there was a donation from, let's say, £100 from God?
Yeah.
Yes?
I wouldn't know if it were to be from God. I wouldn't know that.
It would say that, wouldn't it?
Would it say that? No. It wouldn't.
If someone puts money into your bank account, it would say on your bank statement where the money came from, wouldn't it?
It would, but how would we know whether or not it came from God?
What would it say if it came from God? What would it say on the bank statement?
Came from God unless God said, "I can."
Artie, hold on. I'm talking.
Oh wait, okay, no, wait. No,
What would
I
it
just
say
realized. So you're
on the
tying
bank?
What you're saying now? Okay.
What would it say on the bank statement if there was £100 put in your bank account by God?
Yeah. It would probably say full Martin from to Martin from God or something along. So there's like an assigned,
exactly.
Yeah, so there's
How
like,
many times
yeah.
in your life has that happened?
No, I've just realized you're
No. I just realized you're still answering none of my questions. How many times in your life has it happened?
Yeah. How many times has that happened? So wait. So you're no longer tying what you're saying now into the.
I'm asking you a simple question. I'm asking you a simple question. Martin, listen to my question. Listen to my question. For as long as you have a bank account, how many times have you looked at a bank statement and it had said, God has deposited £100 in your bank account?
There have been no times. There have been no times where that
Exactly. Do you go to church, Martin?
I used to. I haven't gone in ages though. Yeah.
Okay. When you went to church, were you supposed to tithe?
I was never introduced to that. No. Me and my family just participated along with other members of our family. There was no there was no such thing as tithes. No.
So you never gave any money to a church in your entire life?
I haven't actually, but my father has. Yeah.
Oh, so your father did tithe?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, he did.
Exactly. So God gets money from you guys, but you don't get anything back. That's a great capitalist system, Martin. I wish I had that. I wish I had that. That people would give me money and I would have to give nothing in return, which is exactly what God does.
Well, I've got my own opinion on like the church system and how they've kind of like taken.
I'm not talking about a church system. I'm talking about the God of the Bible, because it's not the church asking you for money. It's the Bible telling you to pay money.
Advising, perhaps, maybe not really telling, but advising.
Oh yeah, as in advising, as in ordering. If you don't do that, I will bring down my wrath upon you. That's a fair choice to make. I mean, you can choose to be obliterated, choose to be murdered by the people who follow the God to a T.
Yep. Right.
It's not really a choice, is it?
No, actually, but the thing is, though, so my personal interpretation of what you said is, I think people have kind of taken the biblical passages out of context. I mean, that's just a whole nother topic, but anyway, yeah, I've got my own like ideas on that.
How do you take an order from God? Either do this or be killed out of context.
Well, those people are extremists.
Well, so
yeah. So the chances are they're not really abiding by God's.
So there's no problem with killing them.
Wait, there's no problem with killing who?
The people who you say are extremists.
Oh no, definitely. Oh no, absolutely. Well, obviously there is. I mean, that's the whole point.
Not right? To God.
No, but they're taking the passages out of context and they're kind of
I
filling
mean,
in.
I mean, the Canaanites would have something to say about this, right? I mean, the murdered ones.
But well,
the,
actually,
doesn't matter.
Actually,
Doesn't matter to you that those people were killed because they were extremists, right? They didn't listen to God, so go ahead and kill them.
I'm a bit confused, Peter. I've got to be honest. I don't really see the correlation.
How about Numbers? How about Numbers 31? I forgot which people it was, but God ordered Moses to kill every man, woman, and child, and even their livestock. Kill everything, except, of course, for the virgin women, because they could keep those for themselves. Because I mean,
no, that's really
who doesn't like
that's
virgins?
Really interesting, isn't it? Well, what's interesting is that's kind of like a prelude to the Virgin Mary, which I figured that.
I don't think the Virgin Mary has anything has anything to do. The Virgin Mary has nothing to do with committing.
I mean,
the Virgin Mary had anything to do with genocide?
Wait, what? No, that's not what I said. You're misrepresenting my point.
Okay, so let's get back. Let's leave the Virgin Mary, who wasn't a virgin anyway, because that's a mistranslation. But let's get back to the people who were murdered.
Well, why else would they take virgins? I mean, let's try and think about that, right? I mean,
to have sex with. That's the whole thing that Numbers 31 is about. It's about sex, child slavery, sex trafficking. That's what number 31 is about. But that's not the part. That's not the part I want to talk about. I want to talk about the part where they kill an entire people.
Yeah.
Men, women, and children, and their livestock, because God doesn't like them.
No, I disagree. I think there would be a reason as to why God would do something like that, or order something like that.
Wait, but you're a Christian, and so you're now saying that I know something that the Bible says that you're blissfully unaware of?
I think so. I think a lot of people, like I said, have just overlooked.
Why haven't you read the Bible?
They haven't connected. Well, they haven't read in between the lines of it. Like
no. It's not about reading between the lines. It's reading the lines.
It is, but yeah, that's another point.
Well, the fact is that you do not know what Numbers 31 is about.
Well, I've got my own interpretation. Like I said, I just find.
Okay, let's get something that is a little bit more well known. Let's talk about the entire planet. Noah's flood. Those people, all those people getting killed. You think that was absolutely the right thing to do? Men, women, and children, babies, just kill everyone. You thought that was a good thing to do.
If you want to go into the details about that, I've got my own interpretation.
Well, okay, let's hear your interpretation.
Yeah, great. I think those individuals and those cattle and everything else, like, animals, every animal or something, I think that, okay, so with Noah's Ark, God orders 2 of every kind to go upon the ark.
We're not talking about the people who got on the ark, and we're not talking about the animals that got on the ark. We're talking about everything else that got killed. That was a good thing.
Well, I think there would be a reason as to why that would be the case. So,
okay, what would be a good reason to kill everything on the planet?
Well, perhaps maybe everything was like infected, you could say.
I'm not talking about perhaps what. What would you think? No. I'm asking Martin. What would Martin think would be a good reason to kill every living thing on the planet?
Because it has become infected by some sort of negative influence, you could say.
Negative influence.
Yeah.
Have you? Okay, so can you name me one plant that has ever had a negative influence on you? A plant somewhere in the woods.
No, I can't.
Exactly.
I'm not a.
Could you think? Could you think? Could you think of a scenario in
Right.
which a plant, a sapling tree, could have a negative influence on anything in your life?
I'm not a. First of all, I'm not a botanist, and also
You don't have to be a
no,
botanist. You
I'm not.
don't have to be a botanist
Well,
to figure out whether or not a sapling tree could have a negative influence on your life. We're not talking
On behalf
about a full...
of non-botanists, the answer is no.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't really see the connection. I don't see the connection there. I've got to be honest.
No, you don't want to see the connection, because what I'm trying to ask you, and what you're avoiding to answer, is come up with a reason for Martin to kill every living thing on the planet. Because in order to come up with a reason for that, that would mean that you have something against every living thing on the planet, and they would have that thing in common.
What if... No, I'm just trying to think. But what if... Well, first of all, I'm not God. And also, what if God knew
But I'm not asking God. I'm asking Martin.
Yeah. Well, I'm not God.
Yes, and that's exactly why I'm asking you, because you're not God. Because unlike God, you exist, and I can ask you a question.
Yeah, but I didn't send a flood, so I'm not really...
I'm not saying that you send a flood. I'm asking you what would be a good reason to send a flood.
Yeah.
What would you think? What would Martin? What would Martin think?
Yes.
Apart from the Bible and everything written in it, what would you think would be a great reason to kill every living thing on the planet?
Yeah, like I said, because everything became infected with some sort of negative influence. That's what I.
How do trees get infected with a negative influence?
Trees are not animals,
but they're living things, right?
Yeah.
Great. So how does a tree get infected with a negative influence? Do you talk to it? Do you?
No.
I don't know.
No.
How do you convince a tree to become a negative influence?
How does a tree tie into this? I'm just a bit confused.
Because a tree is a living thing.
Okay. Yes.
And it has to be killed, right? So you have to find a reason to kill it.
I'm actually not sure. Maybe God knew something. I'm not sure, Peter. I don't really.
Okay. Let's take a different example. Let's take a different example. A newborn dog, a puppy, a very cute little puppy. Why would you kill it?
Why? What? No, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't.
Yes, you would.
Just a bit confused.
Yes, you would.
No, of course not.
Yes, if you're going to kill everything on the planet, you're also going to kill puppies.
No, well, I wouldn't.
Yeah, but in this particular scenario, 100%. You would, because you can't kill every living thing on the planet and keep puppies alive. It's not how that works.
Okay.
So what would be a good reason for you to kill a puppy?
Well, I've actually got dogs, so yeah. Wouldn't.
You've got dogs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me what you could do to me that would justify me in killing your dogs.
What could I do to you? What was it? If you justified killing my dogs, is that what you said?
Yeah. What would you do to me that would justify me killing your dogs?
That would justify you killing my dogs.
Is there anything you can do that would justify me killing your dogs?
I would probably send a flood. Yeah, I would probably.
If you send a
for
flood, you would kill your own dogs. So that wouldn't work.
No. Well, okay. All right. If you want to get into these specifics, maybe you're right. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I'm right in
okay.
what?
No. Maybe you're right in that example where it might actually take my dogs as well as yourself.
Huh?
Well, the flood. You mentioned the flood, right?
No. I asked you what you could do to me that would then justify me killing your dogs.
What could I do to you to justify you?
Yeah.
Killing,
so if you hit me in the face, would I then be justified to kill your dogs?
Right. Okay. So you're talking. Okay. Right. So it's kind of like a reaction. Okay. If I hit you in the face, no, of course not.
Okay. Let's say if I stabbed you with a knife, if you stabbed me with a knife, would I then be justified to kill your dogs?
No.
Let's say if you killed if you killed my girlfriend, would I then be justified to kill your dogs?
No, I've actually got your point there. Right. Okay. Now I see it. Okay. So
is there a reason? Is there a reason?
Yeah.
Is there anything that you could do that would justify me killing your dogs? I'll help you out. The answer is no.
Yeah. No. Yeah. You're correct. Yeah.
Okay. But there is a reason, right? Because this is what God did. Yeah. This is what God did. Because the people didn't do what he wanted them to do, so he killed puppies. That's a great God you've got there.
Well, how do we know puppies were in existence at the time of the flood? How do we know?
Because weren't there dogs on the ark? Where did they come from?
Weren't there dogs?
Were those 2,000-year-old dogs the first dogs? The first dogs God created, and they never had puppies? Oh wait!
Yeah.
Wait! That can't be it, because in Genesis it says that you need to go out into the world and multiply, right? That also applied to dogs. So there would have been puppies, right?
No, I'm pretty sure that was for Adam and Eve, wasn't it?
Oh, so the dogs just died after a while.
No. So you're talking about that verse where it says, I believe it's in Genesis. I can't remember exactly which chapter.
So there were the dogs on the ark were 2,000-year-old dogs, and they only started multiplying after the flood.
No. I need to correct you because he specifically mentioned a verse that states that God authorized Adam and Eve to go and multiply, right?
Yes, but we're not talking about Adam and Eve. We're talking about dogs.
Yeah.
So the dogs on the ark were the two original dogs that God created in the Garden of Eden.
I don't think God. No, actually, God created the animals before. Yeah, probably yes.
So those were 2,000-year-old dogs.
Well, no. Okay, so they would have been from the same family. So they would have derived from the same family as the dogs.
Wait, they can't derive from a family if there weren't puppies.
Well, yeah, obviously, yes. Okay, right.
So there were puppies at the time of the flood.
Right. Yeah.
Great.
Yes. Yeah. The problem. Yeah,
so there's a good reason to kill puppies. Right. So what's the reason? What's the good reason to kill puppies?
How do you know God didn't?
You just acknowledged that there were puppies at the time of the flood. Those puppies were drowned because they didn't make it onto the ark. Only 2 of them made it onto the ark.
Right. Okay.
Right. So in every litter of puppies is usually more than 2. So
No,
the
no.
other ones from the litter were drowned. So they were still from the same family. So what is a good reason to drown puppies?
How do you know other puppies, for instance?
Because you just told me
sorry,
to.
sorry,
You just told me.
No. Peter, calm down. How do you know other puppies in the flood? Sorry, other puppies drowned in the flood, right?
You just told me.
How do you know that there were
You
puppies that drowned
just
in Noah's
agreed. You just agreed that there were puppies
flood? Okay.
when the flood happened. There were thousands of people. There were thousands of people on the planet. People who had dogs, people who had cattle, chickens, everything. They also had puppies because they had to have, because otherwise there would only be 2 dogs. And you just said they're from the same family. So if there's a family of dogs, then there's more than 1 dog, right? And more than 1 family even. If they're from the same family, then there are other families. So we have now established that there were puppies at the point where God sent the flood. So we're now at the point where there is a damn good reason to drown puppies.
Okay.
What's the good reason to drown puppies?
Right. Right. No. I'm not sure.
What good reason did God have, according to you, to drown all those puppies?
According to me, I don't have one because I'm not God, and
but you've read the Bible, didn't you?
Yeah.
What does the Bible say was a good reason to drown puppies?
Well, like I said, because everything. I'm pretty sure it was the influence from the demons. I'm pretty sure. It was the influence from the demons.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
Well, so.
I'm actually 100% sure because I've read it multiple times. The only ones corrupted were humans.
Yes. How do you know that?
Because the Bible said so. The Bible is specific. The Bible is specific. The Bible is specific that the humans and only the humans were corrupted.
If that were the case, then why did Jesus Christ cast out the swine?
Well, because he wasn't there at the flood to drown puppies.
I don't know. That doesn't. No, you're not getting what I'm saying. There must be some sort of
because Jesus wasn't there. Jesus wasn't mentioned in Genesis. There was no mention of Jesus in Genesis. Nowhere.
Sorry, Peter. I didn't even mention what. I'm confused. What? No, Jesus Christ knew of that that negative demonic influence infesting other creatures apart from humans. That's why else would he cast out the pig?
So Jesus knew, but God didn't.
No, you're completely missing the point. Anyway, again, it's reading in between the lines and
No. Yeah, again, you're reading in between the lines because you're adding to the Bible, which, by the way, the Bible prohibits you from doing.
No.
Because you're going to be sent to hell if you do, according to the Bible. You cannot add to the Word of God, which is what you're currently doing. You're not reading the lines. You're reading in between the lines, and you're forgetting the lines.
No, Peter. Okay, so put it this way. I mean, this is how my brain works and operates and functions as well. Why is it again that why is it that Jews and Muslims can't eat pork? That's a really interesting one there.
Well, that's an easy one. Because that's the meat that's the first to go off, and so back in those days, people got food poisoning because of it, and that's why humans wrote it into the Bible.
Doesn't make any sense. Sorry. Again, why did Jesus Christ?
And by the way, it's not just Jews and Muslims. Christians aren't allowed to eat pork either, according to Jesus. But because most Christians follow Paul instead of Jesus, they can eat pork.
No.
Yes,
What,
but that's a whole different tangent.
Peter,
So
Peter,
we're still
Peter.
trying to figure out what
Sorry,
a good
Peter,
reason.
could I?
No, you
Peter.
can't. No, you can't.
Artemis,
No, you can't.
Artemis,
No, you can't. No, you can't. We're still back
Artemis?
to what is a good reason to drown puppies.
Sorry, Peter. Could we focus? Sorry.
Yeah,
could we
let's
stay
focus
topic,
on the.
right? You
Yes,
mentioned-
that was the topic. What is a
No,
good
what?
reason to
No, I
drown
mean,
puppies?
what's a good reason to? There's no reason.
So God is not just. That's what you're saying.
Well, you don't know what God you don't know God's mind, right?
I don't.
Okay?
I don't.
you
But
haven't got-
I'm listening. I'm not listening to God. I'm listening to Martin, who has just said that there's no good reason to drown puppies. And since God drowned puppies, God must not be a good guy, right?
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure.
You can't say there's no reason to drown puppies and then say, well, maybe someone else has a good reason. If there's no reason, then no one else has a good reason, right? Or am I missing the point?
No one else has a good reason. Yeah, I think you're missing the point there. Each individual isn't the same. So,
If there's no good reason to drown puppies, then there's no good reason to drown puppies.
If there's no good reason to drown puppies, then there's no good reason to drown. Maybe for some, maybe. Yeah.
So what you're saying is if there's
so put it this way. Peter,
put it this way. Put it this way.
I wouldn't drown puppies.
Put it this way. If there's no good reason to drown puppies, then there's a good reason to drown puppies.
If there's no good reason, no. Okay, so what I'm saying is okay, so I wouldn't drown puppies, and if I were God, because I'm not, I would not drown puppies.
Exactly. So you're better than God.
I'm not sure. I don't. Think
I
that's
am.
nice. No.
I am, and this is what my whole process was trying to achieve. You are
Right,
better
okay.
than the God of the Bible, which to me makes it mind-boggling that you would follow such a God, because you're better.
Yes. Okay. I'm okay. I'm not sure how that equates, because God is a being and he has his own mind. He has his own reasons for things. I'm not sure. I'm just a bit confused there. But yeah.
But you would still think it's wrong to drown puppies.
Yes, I would. Well,
Right.
I personally would. Yeah, I would definitely. I've got 2 dogs. I told you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you would condemn God if you were to drown puppies.
I would disagree with them. Yeah, I don't know.
Which makes you a better person than God.
Yeah.
I think that's a great way to end the show.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
Because
Really enjoyed it.
Because for whatever else happened during the show, I still think that you are better than the God of the Bible.
Okay.
Much, much better.
Okay. Thank you.
And you have more empathy, especially when it comes to animals.
Yes.
So I'm fine with the end result. Now all we have to do is make Artie focus again.
Right.
There he is. He's looking. He heard me. Artie.
Okay.
You have anything to add?
You told me to shut up.
I did.
Times.
I did.
I'm not mad. I'm just wondering why you've chosen now to be the time where you've invaded myself and asked me to contribute. I'm kidding.
I know.
Yeah, no, dude. I stopped listening. To most
I
of this
apologize. I apologize for that, Artie, because I was in pain and I had a very short fuse at some point. So I apologize for telling you to shut up. I will never do that again until I do it again.
Peter, shut up.
Right.
I don't care.
I've really enjoyed it.
I genuinely, you know better. You know I don't care.
I know.
What the enjoyment for me was that this entirety. First of all, it went on for so long after Peter had made it clear that he was in a lot of pain and didn't want this to carry on.
Yeah.
The other things that made this so interesting were the facts that I had gone into this. I made clear to Peter that going into this that I wasn't inclined to come into this with kid gloves. I expected to be challenged, and I was willing to throw the gloves off and say what I meant to say. And I feel like I did that. I feel like for the first better part of it. What? Shut the fuck up. For the for the first hour, I was super nice and let you look. We had a perfectly wonderful conversation for way more than an hour, and then shit got stupid. It didn't go. It didn't go from cordial to weird to stupid. It went cordial, stupid, and I can be perfectly happy talking to somebody who's speaking utter gibberish to me on a street corner. I am legitimately happy to continue to share what I have to say about whatever it is that they're babbling on about. I love those meaningless, mindless conversations with people who will think after I have walked away that they have experienced humanism. They will have experienced what it is to talk to another human being. That's what I came away with tonight.
Okay, right. No, that's good. Yeah, great. Again, I've really enjoyed.
I definitely believe that I spoke to a human being tonight.
Great, thank you. Yeah.
You said, dude, I genuinely have affection for you. I really do have affection for you, genuinely. Which is a lot of why I shut the fuck up because Peter asked me to. Because it's I wasn't mad at you. I was mad at the ideas that you were trying to impress upon me, and thought that I should think they were reasonable, and that's why I got impassioned.
Right. Okay.
It's absolutely not personal. I genuinely have affection for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I know you to be a good person.
And me too, which is
you said some shit that made me want to kick a dog, and I have two of them.
Okay.
And luckily, neither of them have any bruises tonight.
No.
Good. Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's good.
I genuinely feel accomplished for having done that.
Yeah. So I think I think going back to the conversation, I think it was no. Again, I really did mean what I said there by bringing up these examples, by kind of like understanding these dynamics. Again, I spoke to my family the other month as well, and I just wanted to share these things. They're just interesting ideas. So.
I want to share one more thing. We've been live now for close to 3 hours, which is twice the length of a normal show. And I did get it. I did let it go on this long because I was interested in the conversation, and I thought there was something to be accomplished. Even though, you can give me the look, Artie, but I'm not falling for it.
You're fucking wrong.
Well, I might be. I'm wrong a lot of the times. And if you,
I am too, but this one, I had to turn my microphone off.
It's not a problem. I turned my microphone off for probably most part of the first hour, even longer. I think.
Of everything I have to say. I ain't mad.
And we still have a silly person in the side chat, which I've timed him out once already, and he now says there weren't any puppies at the time of the flood. He also claims that dogs came from an extinct wolf that for some reason still roams
just like
Asia.
coyotes and foxes.
Yeah, the wolf still roams Asia today, so I don't know. Probably, what he means when he got extinct is one particular wolf. I don't know. I have no clue.
Yeah. don't even know which version of wolf they're even talking about, because
Dogs
gray
evolved.
wolves still exist in
Dogs
Canada
evolved
and
from
America.
Asian gray wolves,
Red wolves
which still
in
exist.
South America.
Right.
I don't know what.
And
Wolves were mostly exterminated from Europe. That's a thing.
and they're now getting back into my country, and people want to kill them. So there's that.
Well, that happened here too, but at least it was the 80s when that started.
Well,
When Ronald Reagan was the president.
Before we go on another trickle down topic that gets us everywhere, but where we want to go.
I love you. I'm going to turn my mic off. I love you all. Thank you very much. Martin, I genuinely have affection for you, brother.
Thank you.
We genuinely, equally genuinely disagree about shit in
Okay.
very visceral and emotional ways, but I absolutely appreciate you as a person and an intellect, and this was,
and me too.
Most of this was a lot of fun, and I hope that
really
none of this has set you on a course that makes you think any less of anyone, because mostly this was just a conversation.
The thing,
the whole point was to have an exchange of ideas, whether we agreed or not, and we didn't.
Right.
But we had the conversation, Mark.
The thing is, and I'm not saying this in an insulting way, Martin, because I think everyone on the planet is on the spectrum. You said at the start of the show that you're on the spectrum.
I am, yeah.
The thing is that when you do shows like this, and this is the case between Artie and me, Artie's thought processes are completely different from mine, and this is why, and that's why I enjoyed talking to Artie, because the way he thinks is completely different from the way I think. So I always get something from a conversation with Artie, no matter what we talk about, except for when we talk about cars, because he has no clue about cars. And see, now he's muted, and he thinks that he's saying something, but we can't hear him.
It's just because everything I say about cars is wrong. It's not that I don't know anything.
Yes, exactly. So, but no, just kidding. But this is what I find interesting, and this is why I have guests on the show, and this is why you're a special guest, because your thought process is so incredibly different from ours that there's a lot to learn from the way you process things as opposed to the way we process things. And this is still something that I get out of conversations like this. This is also the reason why I let it go on for 3 hours instead of the usual hour and a half. And probably no one's going to watch this entire show. And probably I don't even care, because I enjoyed having the conversation, even when it got a little bit heated. Even if I had to tell Artie to shut up, and I'm glad he's muted now, so he's not interrupting me while I'm saying all of this. See him talking.
Tell Mary that my friend Mary should watch this. Tell her. Peter, say, Mary,
watch this. Mary, you should watch this. Okay, I have no clue who Mary is, but never mind. I really enjoyed having you on, Martin. You have an open invitation to come back at any time, talking about any topic you want. You're a great guy to talk to.
Thank you.
You did get frustrated at some point, which is fair enough. We had the same thing, and that's because our thinking process is different. And at some point, it is hard to point out something. It's hard for you to point out something to us, and vice versa. And that makes a conversation like this, for me at least, it makes it interesting.
Yeah. Okay.
I feel like the three of us all did a pretty good job of trying to understand. Peter and I don't always agree either.
No.
Okay. Right.
I don't want you to think that anytime you're talking to the two of us that you're speaking to an idea, because Peter, I don't know if you've noticed, but Peter's got a huge Band-Aid on his thumb where he tried to cut it in half like this, which is that's usually the kind of thing that's restricted to people who cut meat. But no, not Peter.
No.
Peter. Peter's special.
Well, I learned not to work with power tools when it's already getting dark because you can't see which side the saw is up.
That
and-
cannot be the only thing you learned, Peter.
Right.
For now. And I've learned that if my girlfriend says we need to get you to hospital because you need stitches, that she might be right.
No. Yeah, and if your wife doesn't have the same
Good
idea,
idea.
just listen to the girlfriend.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh well.
Go see a doctor, you dumb shit. I don't want to see you like this.
When the roof is on, I'll go see a doctor and see.
No, that's too late, you stupid shit.
Right. Okay.
Blood
Right.
poisoning happens way faster. The reason it's black is because it's dying, Peter.
No.
Yes, it is. It's
I
necrotic.
didn't say it was black.
It's necrotic, Peter.
It's not black, really. It's more bluish. I'm turning into a Smurf. That's probably it. And if
that's how the entire Smurf species came about. Was some dumb Dutch fuck cut his thumb.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Asho 64. The clown with Peter. The clown with Peter is Artie, and once you've come to this channel more than once, you will appreciate Artie. Even though there's no way to getting the color on his camera right, no matter what I do, because
we're gonna figure out a way to make my flag look right and my face.
And
we'll do it.
Even though
it's possible because Peter's a biblical fucking name, so obviously he's got the power.
Asho says he knows Artie, so that's why he asked who the clown next to Peter was. Okay. See, you're famous in your own right. Well, we're going to end it here. We're going to end it here. Martin, thanks again for coming on.
I love you. I genuinely love you.
And for sticking around for 3 hours, because that is your time that you're giving us, and I really truly do appreciate that you give us that amount of time, even though we still disagree on certain things. You're a great guy, and as I said, you've got an open invitation. You can come back whenever you want. No problem.
Yeah, this time of night, the restaurants are still open where I live.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I live, it's in the middle of the night right now. Have any final words for us, Martin?
I think the conversation has been good. I think the ending was a bit anyway. Not really. Okay.
Pleasure. Love you, brother.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks. Bye.
And I want to thank everyone in chat. Triax666 just joined. I know Artie is going to be chuffed to see him. He's a little bit late, so you have to go back to the start. So, thanks everyone for watching this. This has been pure pleasure, and we'll see you hopefully back as soon as possible with another guest.
Wait, hang on.
What?
Is this what Chuff sounds like?
Yes.
What does Chuff sound? Okay. I just want to make sure I did that right.
Yeah. Okay. Final word from our sponsor, and we're off. See you all next time. Bye, everyone.
Listen to this. Our visitors watched almost 18 million minutes of our videos on YouTube. I'm telling you, praise God. Can you imagine that? I want to say a big thank you to all of our YouTube subscribers and all of our partners. Now listen, if you have not subscribed to a YouTube channel, do it right now. Do it today. And all you have to do is click the big red subscribe button. Be sure to share our channel with your family and with friends, because it takes all of us working together to spread the word